Welcome to the Critical Obsession podcast. My name is Mirella.
And I'm Zoe.
And this is our very special episode after a long wait for Revenge Love. Critical Obsession was summoned by Revenge Love because the fact that it exists is a miracle. The way they told the story is incredible. It's hard to believe that it happened.
Yeah, well, it's like not 2 days later, but it feels like 2 days later, a day and a bit. You know, and you and I have been talking about it pretty much nonstop. So we thought, hey, maybe we should record some of this.
That's right. So Revenge Love is a Chinese BL series. It was filmed in mainland China, which is very special because they do not do stuff like this there. It's because of the censorship. We could not believe our eyes, our ears, when we found out that this is what they're doing, and while watching it, when we saw what exactly they were doing and how they were telling the story. It is based on a book. It's called Counter Attack by Ji Dan, right? I'm sorry, I'm going to butcher lots of names, so I apologize in advance. And
me too. I'm going to say right now that I pretty much got most of the names down, but the doctor will be the doctor. Because I just keep forgetting his name. And then I was like, I wrote it down and I was like, yeah, I don't know how to say that. But, yeah, he is the doctor.
The doctor.
Everyone else has their name, but he is the doctor.
Yeah, the main characters have names for me. The other is like the friend of the friend.
Maybe once you... also Wang Xiao's brother is just the brother.
Yes, the brother.
Every time I hear his name, it just sounds the same as Wang Xiao to me, and I'm like, that's confusing. So he's the brother.
Definitely the brother. And so the story is about love. It's about maybe redemption. It's about believing in yourself. It's a comedy and it's a romantic story as well, right?
Mm. It is. I feel like we need to probably just take a second here to say that, neither of us have read the book, so We'll just put that out there. I've read some spoilers from the book, but I've never read the book. But I did see the version of Counterattack that got made. Oh God, I don't actually know when it got made. I probably should have looked that up a few years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And that show and this show, they're like two different animals. They're not even the same species. You know, like they're so different. The writing for it, the acting, the directing, like everything is just they're so far apart you can't put the two together. Like I think I watched the original Counterattack, or the original version of Counterattack, like in a really kind of dodgy way, because it wasn't available anywhere when I was like, I'd heard about it and I thought, oh, this sounds interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I watched it, I didn't actually find it that interesting. I found the characters obnoxious and like very unlikable and stuff, which I feel from what I've read and stuff, that's kind of a bit like how they are in the book. So they're different. Like Shishang and Westaway are not like that. In this lovely version of Revenge Love. Like you need to, if you want to experience this story, you should watch Revenge Love if you haven't. Like it's definitely the best version of events, I think.
And you mentioned that even the author recommends watching this series instead of reading the book, right?
There's a little bit of controversy going around about the author at the moment, though. She doesn't have a lot of fans, I don't think.
Really?
Right now. Yeah, apparently I haven't really gotten into the drama. Like I'm gonna disclaimer on that right now. I haven't really read into it, but it's something to do with like being mean to I'm not sure which actor, like either the actor who plays Shishang or the actor who plays Westaway, I think, but I don't know which one. Like there's some sort of drama there. Like they followed like an auntie, or I don't know. There's something like that, and I'm just like, ugh.
Oh no.
So yeah, so there's not a lot of fans going on at that of hers at the moment. But originally, before there was drama, she did basically say, "Don't read the book. Like we've made it better because like." I think I read something like she said she was going through something when she wrote this, and like it was really like damaging or something, like, and you shouldn't read it. So, you know. But part of me is still part of me is still curious. You know me, I'm like the, put my hand in the mousetrap just to see what happens kind of girl.
Well,
you know it's going to hurt and probably be bad, but at the same time, like, hey, I need to know that for myself.
yeah, well, I'm completely on the opposite part of the coin here. I don't want to know. I avoided the spoilers at all costs, and at some point I even stopped going on Tumblr because a big part of my experience of enjoying this series was going on Tumblr, writing some stuff, reading some stuff, and there was a moment when it got flooded with spoilers from the book. And in my head, the book and the series are two completely different entities. And I felt like the details that were mentioned messed with my experience of the series, with me, with the way I interpreted the characters, with the way I saw everything. And I was not happy about it. So I didn't want to read it. I didn't want to know about it. I was just happy to watch the series and wait for the next episode. But I understand it, because even though I wanted to avoid them, sometimes some sentence caught my eye. I was like, oh my God, this is so interesting. It was just so hard. It's so tempting.
It was hilarious because, like, I did get sucked in. But, like, I have zero chill. There's, like, Morella will be watching something and she'll say, do you want to know spoilers for this? And 9 times out of 10, I'll be like, yeah, spoil me.
Yeah.
It's only if I really, really am like, no, I want to watch it. I'll wait.
Mm-hmm.
But generally I'm like, no, tell me everything.
Yeah.
But I actually didn't go into this show looking for spoilers. I hadn't read the book. As I said, I had seen the original, which is cool. It's actually called Falling in Love with a Rival, and it was made in 2015 for those who wanted to know.
Does it follow the same plot?
Yeah, so it's basically, it says here, the story of Wesaway, a man whose girlfriend breaks up with him to date a rich man called Shashang.
Uh-huh.
When Wesaway and Shashang meet by mistake, Wesaway decides to make Shashang fall for him to get revenge against his ex. However, Shashang quickly falls for Wesaway, advances, and is determined for them to be together. What started off as a revenge plot quickly shifts into the two beginning to fall for each other. But it's kind of like...
For those who don't know... I'm so sorry, but for those who don't know, this is the plot of this series as well. Yeah, this is what happens in the series.
Plot,
I mean,
it's like a rough, broad stroke.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So it's like, I don't feel like if someone just looked it up on my drama list or whatever, they would know that much about it. Do you know what I mean? So, but I didn't find, like, when I watched that, I didn't find. As I said, the characters weren't likable. You didn't really want them together. Like, it was just, in my experience. But, like, and it's the same as what you were saying, like, the book and this show and it's completely different. And it's funny because when I first started watching Revenge Love, I actually had no idea. Like, I think I watched maybe 1 or 2 episodes. I think I started watching it before you. Is that right? I think I did.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I watched like maybe 1 or 2 episodes before I was just like, this kind of seems familiar, but not really. And I hadn't been really, I've been so crazy with work. Just one of the reasons why we have been taking a bit of a break. Life's been crazy. And so I haven't really been spending a lot of time on Twitter or whatever. So basically what I knew about Revenge Love is that, oh my God, China was doing some more BLs all of a sudden. And, the last one that we had that was made in China but like sold outside of China was Meet You at the Blossom, which was also brilliant and a lot of fun.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen it, you should definitely check it out. It's definitely worth the watch. And also we do a podcast, so you can check that out as well. When we gush about it, basically. Yes. And so, like, basically I'd seen a post, I think, on Twitter in passing where it was like, oh my God, I can't believe it. They're doing, like, there's a handful of new ones coming out. Like, I think there's a couple more Dame ones coming out. I don't know if there's another, like, kind of, modern seems like the wrong word, but you know what I mean, like set in like real life. I don't know. My terminology
Contemporary.
is wrong here. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
yeah. So like, I don't know if there's any more like that. I can't remember exactly what I read, but I remember there was like maybe 3 or 4, and Revenge Love was just happened to be one of them. And I made a note of when it was starting and things like that. And so when it started, I started watching it. I had no idea it had anything to do with counterattack.
You're making it sound as though it's not, the other series is not really a love story. It's like it's a more of a revenge story and some kind of a twisted comeuppance. I don't know.
Yeah, well, it's like from what I remember, and as I said, it was like 2015, so it was a while ago now. It's like what, 10 years, you know? No, it was probably about 9 years I watched it, because I don't think I found it like after it had already aired. And it was, I just remember like the Shashen character being like quite forceful and more violent, and this could also be like my memory being tinged by, you know, I haven't gone and rewatched it or anything, so I don't know. But I just remember not really liking either one of the characters, not really finding them have chemistry together, not really like I was curious to see like how it was going to play out, but I wasn't like rooting for them to be together or anything. Do you know what I mean? Like, whereas with this, I was fully invested. Pretty much by the second episode, I was like,
kiss,
okay,
kiss, kiss.
You know, it was really funny because, as I said, I think I was like midway through the second episode, and I started thinking, it sounds familiar but not. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
And so I was like, what is this? And I'm like, and then so I think after the episode, I went on Twitter and I was like, counterattack, that's it. And it rang the bell, and I remembered the show, and I was like, wow, this is so different, you know. And then I did see some posts where as I said, I think I told you that I'd seen the one about the author saying don't read the book.
Yeah, yeah.
And you know, I hadn't read the book at the time because well, also things were like harder to come by back then, like translations and stuff. So but I hadn't read it because at the time the show didn't really inspire me to want to watch it. Want to read it. It's funny, Morella and I were having a conversation earlier today, and I was like, I kind of want to read it because I'm curious to know, like, I know so many people have like a love-hate relationship with it. Like they either love it or they like hate it, but so many people were excited for it to be turned into a show, which didn't make any sense to me because the other show was such an epic fail. But maybe that's why they wanted to see a successful version of it be made. I don't know. And so I feel like there has to be some sort of redeeming qualities to the story, but everything I hear about it makes me think that it's probably not worth the read. So, but I think we were talking about it as well, and I think it's one of those things where if I do read it, it'll be like, this is a completely different thing. Like, this is not Revenge Love. This is this is counterattack. You know what I mean? Like, it's more like Revenge Love to me, from what I know about counterattack. It's almost like Revenge Love was inspired by it, it's not it. And I think that was a little bit of a problem. Some people had some issues with the way certain things played out and stuff like that because they did read the book or they were more familiar with the other show.
Yes, and they had expectations. They knew of scenes that had to happen and they didn't because these were different characters, and it makes sense that the story went in a different direction because of that, and they they did different things.
Yeah, I mean, from what I can understand in the book, and I mean, like, I don't want to give spoilers or anything in case people do want to read or they don't want to read, but the characters are very different. Like, they have similar motivations, but their character arc is different. The motivations and the ultimate perspective, and also like interpretation that I guess they want the viewer to have, or at least this
the
is
message
that it gives. Yeah. That it's more positive than like negative. Like, there are less villains in this version, if that makes any sense. Like, in the original counterattack, I think like everyone is basically a villain in some way, shape, or form. Whereas
kind of an antagonist,
isn't really like that. Sorry?
Because some kind of antagonist, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Well, let's get back to Revenge Love. And gosh, about Revenge Love.
He's like, I need to rein you back in. But yeah, I think the other thing I was gonna say was that I did find, because we were talking about that, I did find some spoilers online like midway through and from the book. And we were talking about this earlier as well, about whether or not it had tainted my impression, because I was having a bit of a meltdown yesterday
Yeah.
before the episode, because I was like, I can't see how they can do everything and in the time frame. And that was before I realized that the episode was only like 34 minutes long. But I think it was more like I wasn't really tied into things actually happening. I just thought that there were certain things that needed to happen for it to be successful for me. And I feel like all of those things did happen. But it was funny though. I didn't go looking for the spoilers. I just they popped up on the timeline and I saw them. But the funny thing
They found you.
I knew them, and Morella was like, absolutely do not want to know anything. And I was like, okay. But then every now and then she'd ask me a question about something. I'm like, do you want to know the answer? Or are you just like,
no.
I know. So
I just ask you rhetorical questions. No.
Yeah. I'm like, I know the answer. Do you want to know or not? And then it'd just be like, no. Not until like after that moment had passed, and then like maybe, but then so I feel like one of the reasons why this was so good initially is that I had no idea of its connection.
So see, like
I went into it.
Maybe it would have been better if no one knew, no one had access.
Sometimes it's like that, I think.
To the book,
and I think one of those things that people need to realize too, because it happens a lot, like so many of these BLs are based on novels or almost all of them are based on novels or other BLs that have been made by other countries or whatever. And I feel like when those things happen, you need to take a step back and just like be like, oh, excellent. It's been inspired by, like you can't expect a carbon copy, because
that's correct.
Even if they wanted to tell the entire story as it was in the novel, like in a show or a movie or whatever, it's unrealistic. You're never going to get everything in there. It's like when they turn books into films.
Yes,
people
that's
get
right.
mad because they let the scene out. But, if they put everything in there, the movie would be like 9 hours long.
Yes, because it's a different medium. And this is why there are people whose job is to adapt a story to a scenario, to make sure that the message is told not productively, but is conveyed in a clear way. Because you cannot do the same thing. Like you have colors, you have sounds, you have all kinds of other melodies, the way they speak, their expressions. And sometimes the story needs to go a bit to step out of what it was in the original story in order to, and go in a different, have a different trajectory, but end up in the same place. So, but from my understanding, this is not even what's happening in this story. So it's a moot point. We should be just focusing on the series.
It's still a interesting point to be made, though. Like I think it's, especially with this, considering there's so much like controversy going on. Like even today, I saw so many people like bitching about the way it ended and stuff like that. And I get it. Like there are certain things that I'm like, I understand like people being frustrated about certain things, but the fact that this show exists is a fucking miracle.
It is.
And they did a really good job. And honestly, it ended well. It didn't get cancelled halfway through. We got the thing in its entirety. Really, everyone should be thankful that they got to experience this. That's my general opinion on it. But people are still so pissed. And I feel like a lot of that is that they're so locked into what they thought they were going to get and what they thought it should be. And like that's your first mistake when you're trying to enjoy something, I think.
I agree. So
we learned that lesson hard from last Twilight.
Yeah. I'm still learning that. I'm still processing. I have not recovered. It was an interesting...
on track.
It was an interesting decision. I think they dropped, was it 4 episodes at once at the start, right? They dropped 4 episodes or 3.
I think it was 3, maybe.
I think it was a good decision. it was a very good decision because I watched the first episode and I was like, okay, it looks kind of like a slapstick comedy type of a situation, and I'm not the biggest fan of that, but because there was several other episodes available, I was like, okay, I'm gonna try some more. And then episode 2 and 3 hits you with all this shenanigans and scheming and manipulation, and you just get so invested in the story. And you don't even care at that moment. At that point, you're not aware of the fact that this story is so character driven. It is, isn't it? And you're just going along on this whimsical ride because it's so weird and so funny and so ridiculous. And then you just go along and you laugh and you're like, haha, they're so stupid. And then you suddenly find yourself so invested and so in love with them and like hurting for them. It's
basically you get about 4
Something.
episodes in and you turn into Shishang. You're down bad. Like we basically have the same journey as him, essentially. Like
probably.
He's kind of cold. He's disinterested. He's skeptical, and then he meets this crazy flailing.
He's kind of smug about it. He's like, haha, I'm just gonna have fun. I'm like so above this. This is just stupid.
He's just, kind of like amused.
Yes, but amused.
See where this goes. You know, he's just like off watching the show.
And all of a sudden you find yourself by your car watching the sunset and smiling lovingly because you realized you're already in love with this series.
But it's funny because, as I said, I remember, I don't actually know whether it was 3 or 4. I think it was like 2 episodes maybe, because I remember watching, like, I watched it, I think, pretty much after it first aired, and I think there was like maybe 2, maybe 3. And I think straight away I came to you and was like, okay, you should watch this. It's really good.
Yeah. That's right.
It's funny. It's like, I was like kind of gushing. And around the same time I started watching Maybe a Desire as well. And then I started like, she was basically getting, I wanted to leave. Often when we're watching things at the same time, what we do to each other is like, we'll watch the episode because we're in different time zones. We'll watch the episodes and we'll be like, okay, spoilers for this episode are starting now. And there'll just be a bunch of random like flailing messages, unless we're watching the episode at the same time, which is like what we do with My Stubborn. Then the flailing is happening at the same time. But usually there's a bit of a difference in the time, And because I'd watched these episodes and she hadn't, I was like randomly leaving her messages and going, okay, don't listen to this until you watch the episode or whatever. And it was just, there was quite a bit of flailing going on. And then finally, I say finally because it felt like it took you a while, even though it didn't actually take you a while. I was on my own for a little bit and I was like,
it felt like a very long time. I totally understand this.
I'm not alone in my journey, like it was quite funny. But I was just like, I know it was because I think I was like I started this first and then I started the ABO one. And it's like with this, I was just like, oh, they're funny. They're so cute. Oh, like, he's so nuts or like whatever. And then with the other one, I'm just like, so much scheming. Like it was all just scheming, but in different shades, like it was a lot of fun in the beginning, especially with this show. I mean, it's been fun the whole way through, but in the beginning, I was just like, what is this?
Yes, that's correct.
But it's funny, I had the opportunity last night and a little bit today to go back and just like flick through and watch a few scenes again and stuff. And one of the things I went through was the very beginning of episode 1, which like I found something that I didn't notice at the time. And I just was so fascinated by it. And
What was it?
That like the very beginning of the episode, you meet Shishang and he's in the room where he keeps the snakes.
Yeah.
And hey guys, by the way, there's going to be a lot of spoilers from now on. So if you have not seen this show, probably do that first and then come back. He's in the room where he keeps all his snakes, and he's like bathed in this red and green light because that's the lights that are coming from the
villain lights.
The snake. Well, yes, but no, because like if you think about it from like a drama perspective,
or maybe he was in hell.
No, I was
his
more
own
thinking about the
personal
whole
hell.
I was more thinking about the whole red flag, green flag thing, because he has this in the beginning, he's definitely a red flag.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he's such a red flag in the beginning of this show. It's like not even funny. But then he has this like strip of green that like lights him up from behind. And it's like the potential to be a green flag, which he ultimately at the end of this show, he's such a green flag. It's
Mm-hmm.
like not even funny.
Actually, I was thinking about the lights also, about the lights from the beginning and from the end. And it did make me think about like creating your personal hell the way he was in that room surrounded by snakes. He was very hot. He was dressed in black all alone. And then in the end, when the series
so
ends,
bright.
it's golden, it's bright, it's like heavenly. He's
Yeah.
happy, he's with away, he's like
Yeah.
everything is going to be okay, open, in the open.
Yeah. One of the things I noticed with him, like, if he was scheming and he was trying to like seduce or like coerce or like or something bad was happening, he reverted back to his black clothes. But anytime he was like just happy, they were just being, he was like, you know, enjoying himself or whatever, he seemed to be dressed in white, like lighter clothing, which was kind of interesting too.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, there's a scene in the beginning. I don't know. Hang on, what episode it is? Let me see. Is it episode 2? Maybe.
Okay, in the
No, it's
beginning.
still in the first episode.
Mm-hmm.
In the first episode, yeah. So in the very beginning, you have the red and the green, and I really do think like the red for sure is like his, as I said, like his villain origin red
Mm-hmm.
flag zone,
Mm-hmm.
because this is the very beginning of this episode is that we get the scene as well where like he basically his snakes get taken away, which like they're his entire reason for being at this point. He's, as you said, he's created his own hell of like punishment for the past sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
This uncomfortable environment that's surrounded by reminders and whatever. And then when his father takes the snakes away and he finds out that the guy he's been, I guess, seeing, I don't know, that's not really the right term if you find out. I mean, if you watch the show and you know how they ended up together, it's not really the right terminology. But anyway, how he gives him to his like henchmen to do whatever to kind of thing. He's completely bathed in red light.
Mm-hmm.
Like the room is just red when that happens. And I'm just like, it's such a like bad red flag moment. And the fact that the light is, there's no green, it's just all red. And I was like, this is so interesting. I would have liked to have like fully watched the show again to see if the green lights came again, like when he was with Wes Away or something. I do think there's a scene where they're in the snake room where they are more highlighted, like he's more highlighted by that, but I'd have to go back and really check. But I just thought it was such an interesting way to start it because it's
very intense. It's so intense, and the way he's portrayed in the first episode is just really, it drives to this point that he's not a good person. He's not, like, he's someone to keep distance from, like, he's doing horrible things. And he does not care. He's not tolerant. He does not care about anyone but the snakes. Like people say around him, like, do you even care about people? People care. People matter less than snakes and blah, blah, stuff like this. And one thing that like I just remembered that I was so astonished by was how I watched several episodes and then probably it's because this portrayal in the beginning, it's so exact, like it's so intense with the lighting, with what he's doing. Later, several episodes after he meets Wusa Wei and he starts changing his behavior, you feel like it's a completely different person. Like it changes so much that you forget what he's been doing and in episode 1. And so I remember watching like maybe 6, 7 episodes and I decided probably 6 episodes. And then I decided, I should watch it because the first time I did, I kind of skipped some scenes. I wasn't really sure, especially because of the way I mentioned in the first episode, the impression that it left on me. And so I decided to go back and rewatch it. And I was like, what? This happened? I forgot about this. Oh my God. He did this?
Job.
Yes.
Yeah, they did such a good job because I remember when you first watched it and you were talking about the scene that happens at the end of episode 1.
Yeah.
Which when I watched it too, I was like, wow. But then when I sort of realized in episode 2 that this was based on Counterattack, I went, okay, well, this makes sense to me because this was how the character was in that, like less serious and like less more like there wasn't quite so much, characterization and like if Revenge Love had like zero budget, then the original Counterattack version of the show had like even less. Like it was just they basically filmed in like one room pretty much the whole time. Like it was like the doctor's clinic. Everything happened in the doctor's clinic. And so I remember thinking, oh yeah, he's a bad guy. Like how are they going to make this so that it's worth you wanting them, like you're rooting for it? Because in the beginning, you're kind of like every time Westaway is like scheming and like you're right there with him. You're like, yeah, yep, totally do it because you're like, maybe he deserves it or whatever.
And you kind of fear for him as well because knowing what Shishan is like, you're like, if he finds out, he's going to fuck him up.
Yeah, it's totally, exactly, because that's what he would have done before, for sure, or for anyone else who isn't basically Westaway. It's like, watch out. But it was really funny because by the time you were watching it and you were having that reaction, I had already got to the point where I was just like, my poor baby Shishang. And so I was so funny because I think I said to you, they're really good at making you forget that even happened.
Yes.
Because you just don't. Like, I had forgotten all about it until you mentioned it again. And then when I was rewatching the first episode and that bit came on, I was like, oh yeah, that's right. And then I was like, oh, the red light, like it was so funny. Like I had totally forgotten about him being such a bad guy because for Westaway, and realistic only really for Westaway, he becomes like a green flag. Like everyone else is just like, look out. But like for him,
and this is why I like the way they did it in the series. Towards the end when he is put in jail, it is because all the stuff that he does in the first episode, and I really like that because it's like the show is holding him accountable for that as well. Yeah, the story, yes. And these things are connected because I know that in the book it's not the guy that gets hit with the car does not survive, right? But I know that now, but I didn't know it. And so when I found out that he's getting in jail, my first guess was that it's probably that guy because I remember that he was crippled. So it was weird to me that he did not retaliate in any way. And so I was like, it's probably him. So I like that they made that connection, and that makes his character development more consistent. Because he does not only change for Westaway, he then realizes how his actions affect everyone and how even if he does not know the people, if he does not care about those other people, in the end it all, might make the people that he does care about suffer, and he does not want that. Well, it's not, the best reason not to do shitty things, but it is a reason. It is a start. Although I think at that point in the story, he was already a better person, a better version of himself. But I like what they did there.
Yeah, he was. I noticed as well, like when I was doing some rewatching, that like, we have that scene where, okay, so once again, spoilers, guys. I can't remember what episode it is. I think it's like episode 11 or something like that, where Westaway almost dies because of the snake, because the yellow dragon or whatever it's called almost kills him, and the Shishang has to kill the snake, but he hesitates because the snake is tied to his past. But ultimately he, Westaway is more important. So that's why the snake ends up dead and not Westaway. But in the hospital afterwards, like he apologizes to Westaway, and Westaway says, "Why are you saying you're sorry? You didn't hurt me." And he sort of says, "You know, if I had killed the snake faster, this wouldn't have happened. You know, you wouldn't have broken bones and be in pain." And, you know, and he basically promises him that he'll never cause him pain again, which is kind of ironic because he does quite significantly twice more cause him pain. One inadvertently, but the second time, him going to prison and everything, and then what comes from that, does cause him quite a great amount of pain. And he's so regretful of that. You know, it ties in so much to the way he reacts to things that he finds out when he's in prison and stuff, because he's, as you said, he did this thing like way back when, and there was no reason for it. He just was pissed off or annoyed or like didn't like this guy or didn't like the way this guy looked at him, like, you know, like whatever. He was just triggered. He didn't know this person. And, you know, like it's funny because we also talked about the fact that this is also the guy who hit like Westaway in the head with a brick. Like,
with a fucking brick. How did I not notice that when I watched the first episode? Twice. I watched it twice. I did not notice it was with a brick. Hit him with a fucking brick. Okay, sorry. And
I mean,
go on.
To be fair, you know, like he's learnt this, as you said, this harsh lesson of, you know, actions have consequences for people that you love, and while you may not intend it to be so, you know, he essentially broke his promise because of something that happened before they were even together, has come back and caused these things. That's like, it caused Westaway to be alone. It caused him to be scared. It caused him to sacrifice, you know, things for Shishang, and, you know, broke his heart a little bit and things like that. So all of these things that like made him break his promise. But it's the funny irony of all this as well, the lesson of all of this, because as I said, like this green flag behavior, this character development that we get from him, extends, it's primarily Westaway. It does extend out to his loved ones that he now has more of and pays more attention to because of Westaway. But like anyone outside that bubble, it's still like the potential for the red flag behavior is still there. I feel like for example, if he knew this dude had hit Westaway in the head with a brick twice, he would be dead. Like
this is so funny.
Like he would just kill this guy and walk straight back into prison, because like this is not something that he could deal with.
This is Tumblr
like,
funny.
He's like, most hated things in the world are like seeing Westaway in pain and like basically crying. So like hurt or crying. So I mean, you know, he has they're his weak spots. Which is, you know, I guess like how it should be. If you're in love with someone, you want them to not be in pain, and to be safe, you know. So, but he's just, it's so interesting the way he not only changes, but he still gets the lesson. And I'm not 100% sure if that character ends up dead in the book. I've read something that's in post that people who've read the book thought he died. So my impression was, you know, and they villainize other characters for that storyline in the book, whereas they decided to go with blaming this person who was already a bad character. Like he was already a bad guy. I mean, he goes around hitting dudes in the head with bricks. So like, he's not a good guy to begin with, which is the irony of him like getting revenge because, you know, he's now a cripple or whatever. It's like, you never did anything wrong. Like,
well, no, to me it was reasonable. Like, I do not feel like they made him a villain. Like, he could have done worse. But
no, but I'm just saying, like, he is still a villainous character. So like, I'm just saying, like, he was already a villain. But like, he was already a bad guy.
Like, we do not feel bad about him.
No. But like, at the same time, it's, you know, it's interesting that he felt the need to get revenge. You know, as I said, it's like any sort of bad character who doesn't see their bad, like their evilness or their whatever, or it's like this entitlement where they're like, it's okay for me to behave this way, but like if someone does something bad to me, well then look out. Like,
well,
that's
of course
the mentality
of course
of like a villain, I guess. Yeah. But I because the whole time, you know, we have the scene where Westaway goes and like confronts him and wants like him to, you know, help basically with Shishang. And he thinks that Westaway thinks that it's because of him. Like he has no idea that this
Mm-hmm.
is other backstory, you know. And the other guy thinks it's hilarious that he
Mm-hmm.
thinks it's him because he's like, you know, like he's so insignificant to him. The
Mm-hmm.
guy he hit with the head in the head with the brick twice, you know, like. I mean, that could have given Westaway brain damage, like, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and would he not, you know, like, but from the villain's perspective, would not have had the right to then come and like
Yes,
exact
because
revenge, you
they're
know.
more important than anyone else.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's just, you know, but I'm just thinking back to the few times where, like, he had a head injury because he walked into the door, which was inadvertently, once again, Shisheng's fault at the time, and then he hits his head or does something else, or I think maybe it's after, not that long after he gets hit in the head with the brick the second time, you know, and Shisheng notices the wound and like is like all caring about it and
Mm-hmm.
stuff. Like it's just, it's so funny to me because as I said, like he is, that would have been such a red flag moment for him if he even knew about that. It's like there was character development, but like it could be erased in like 5 minutes if Westaway was the deciding factor.
I was thinking about this story and how it is basically divided in several parts. Have you noticed it? I mean, of course you did. I've been thinking, what's how it could be divided, because like there are steps of character development or like turning points. And for me was, for example, there's part 1 of the game when everything starts and right until the moment that Shisheng decides that he is in love with Wusawei, and I think for me it ends with the death of his yellow dragon snake, when that, like, there's no way back for him. He has made his choice. And then the second part is probably until the moment that Wusawei accepts his feelings, decides his future, because when he tells him, you must be only with me, blah blah blah. Yeah, there's no going back for him. So that's part 2, and then probably the miscommunication part. And it's, for me, ends with the death of the mother. And then the part 4 would be family and sacrifices. I'm really impressed with the way they did it and how each step at the end of each part, you can clearly see how the characters changed and what prompted the change, and like you can structure it, you can write essays about it. Like it's a very well written series.
I did notice the separation as well. To me it reminded me of like acts in a play, you know, because as you said, you had like the first act, which was always like, you know, setting the scene, creating the characters, giving you these impressions that aren't always correct, but like you know, sometimes it's about character development. Also, sometimes it's about your own personal, impressions and, what's the word I'm looking for when you are biased in some way?
Prejudice.
Yeah, your own prejudice. That's the word I was looking for. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
And so, you know, because sometimes we go into things and we're expecting something. Like for example, if I'd have gone into this knowing that this is what it was based on, and, you know, like whatever, I would have had different expectations. I would have had, you know, a lot more kind of feelings about both sets of characters and all the rest of it. And I, you know, not having that change my perspective slightly, change, you know, reduce some of the prejudice and all the rest of it. But like, you know, so some of it's character development, some of it is viewers' impressions as well. And I found that they did that very well as well, like the combination of the two. The other thing that I noticed too when I was like rewatching things and just thinking about stuff as well is I noticed that, like, I know the bit with the snake is very significant. As you said, it's like when he realizes, when he lets go.
Mhm.
However, he actually is like, he falls in love with him way before that. Like there are signs. Like there was a sign that I just didn't even notice. So like in episode 4, he follows is in episode 4, is it episode 3? Hang on a second.
Tell me what happens. Maybe I'll remember what episode it's from.
Yeah, he they
Does Shishang do something to Usui?
No, it's the scene where like he goes to Wesui's house.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, he's in love. The way he looks at his pictures, the way he talks to his mom, the way he's the bully will have your back from now on. Like, yeah, he's clearly in love at that point. He's panicked.
He's like almost kind of like from almost episode 2 even, because we have the whole thing where he he keeps asking for the it's funny actually, because it reminded me of another drama, ABO Desire, where there's like manipulation happening, where like with the use of conditioning, giving something to a character or a person and like making them expect it and then like taking it away and then they've become dependent on this way. It happens in episode 2 because he keeps like flirting. Westway keeps flirting with him at the basketball court and places like that, and he keeps giving him like sweets and stuff, like in this really kind of like awkward cute way, like just shoving like lollipops in his pocket and all this kind of stuff. And it's such a random thing, like it's such a random thing. And it's good for someone who's clearly got like an oral fixation, the fact that he smokes a lot and all the rest of it. Like a lollipop or something like that is a great thing to give to someone who smokes and stuff like that. And but yeah, so like he disappears for a couple of days, which I think from memory is like, I don't remember if it's part of the plan or if it's just that he's starting to freak out a little bit. So he decides to take a break.
It's part of the plan.
It is part of the plan? Okay. So, yeah, so he disappears for a couple of days. And, of course, so Shishang shows up at the veterinarian clinic and he's basically like, where's my candy? Like, that's not what he says, but he's like, where's the things that you owe me is what he says. And Wes always like, what the fuck? I just gave you those. They were gifts. Like, I don't owe you anything. But because he was so conditioned to like expecting these like little treats, and it wasn't even about the treats. It was about seeing Wes away. Like, it's just like already there. He's so like kind of hung up and fixated on him. And that was just kind of, interesting to me.
One could argue that he was into him from the moment they met, from the moment Shishang lay eyes on him, because he's very tolerant with Wusawei. He just indulges with whatever Wusawei is doing. He would have not let anyone else go away from all the stuff that Wusawei does to him and, in front of him so easily.
Well, it's funny because if you think about it from, like, the story is obviously being told mainly from Wesaway's perspective. We're meant to sympathize with him. We're meant to empathize with him and his character. That's the whole reason why you see this dark version of Shishang at the beginning. Like, we're meant to be going like, yes, get him, like... But if you look at like what actually happens from Shishang's point of view, so like their first interaction, they meet in the street and like he doesn't even do or say anything really to him that's like bad. But Wesaway is already scared because he's selling his like sugar animal things like in a street where he's not meant to without a license or like whatever. And so he freaks out and runs away when he's basically caught.
And throws him candy in him, to him.
Leaving Shishang covered in like sticky like candy stuff like stuck to his hair and whatever. And like while he chases him and like sends his men after him and everything, he ultimately doesn't catch him but also doesn't do anything to him. Like if he had caught him, he still doesn't really do anything to him. And then the second time he sees him, Westaway's now got a new business venture, and his new business venture is like showing people how not to get pickpocketed or whatever. And so he's basically following Shashang and filming him. And Shashang is already paranoid because, you know, like someone is messing with him, the someone being his dad. But like, you know, he's just like
He does not like
so-
people approaching him. Yeah, he's just
No.
not someone.
And so that's right. So even then, you know, he threatens to like destroy his phone. He threatens to do a couple of different things. He's quite forceful and like threatening to him, but he actually doesn't hurt him. He doesn't.
Yeah, he treats him like a child. Kind of like a child.
He realizes when he puts two and two together and like realizes he's also the sugar guy. He's like, "Why did you do that to me?" Like he feels like he's been wronged. It's so funny because he's like, you know, like why? Why did you throw that stuff at me? Like it's so funny because I was thinking about it. You know, like if you look at it from his perspective, he's like, "Why is this weird little guy following me and throwing things at me?" And like why is he attacking me? Whereas from Westaway's point of view, he's like, "This guy's in my way. He's destroying all of my business opportunities. He took my girl." Like he's just like, it's all like, you know, if you look at it from both sides of the coin, it's so funny. And then I think the third time they interact is he has a job for the father's company. And so like he thinks he's part of the snake scheming and, you know, he gets shoved up against the car and he's like, "You again?" You know, like, "Why are you in my life again?" And it's funny too, because if you think about it from Shashang, like being interested from that very first moment where he just like saw this cute guy, you know, selling things on the side of the street and then, you know, gets covered in sugar and, you know, runs into him again and then runs into him. And it's like, maybe he's been thinking about him. Maybe he's been like, you know,
looking forward to the next situation, ridiculous situation.
Already fixated on the fact that he's just like, "You again, what are you doing here?" It's like, he's like, I don't need this. I don't need the hassle of having somebody, because he's clearly someone who has avoided attachments for the last like so many years or whatever because of his past traumas with relationship. And so like he's clearly not looking to be, you know, zoned in on one person, you know, like not in that kind of way. And so it's so funny, but you just see it like from the very beginning, this whole idea about not, you know, as I said,
think
episode 2, he's already sad if he doesn't see him like every day.
I think he thinks it cannot happen to him. I think maybe he's surprised by the reaction he has to this guy. I think he thinks his heart is dead. Nothing can move him. And so he is endeared and entertained and like attracted, and he does not know why this is happening to him, or he's like it's unexpected. How do you say it? It's surprising to him that this is happening to him, and he just goes along because it probably feels like he's like a breath of fresh air, like he's finally coming back to life, you know?
Yeah. But it's so funny because if you're getting to that point where you're like, you're kind of a little bit dead inside and you revel in your like, you know, misery, you don't want to feel better. Like you don't want lightness coming into the darkness. Like you're comfortable in the shadows. You know what I mean? Like, so when it happens, it feels very uncomfortable. But it's so funny too, because I think a part of it is he's so like bamboozled by the whole thing, because later on we get the scene where basically they've both got feelings at this point in time, and Westaway is starting to worry about his lies, and you know, he does the whole thing where he says, you know, when they were in the office that night and they kind of almost have sex or whatever, and Westaway says to Shashang, you know, "I'm not the person you think I am. Like, I'm not this well-read, well-studied, well-dressed gentleman like this." And Shashang's like, "Yeah, I know you're a loser." Like he's like, "But you're my little loser." And he says to him something like, what did he say? "I've been
mesmerized by your loser aura. How can you forget this?"
I know, yeah, I was just trying to work out the order of the words in my brain. Mesmerized by your loser aura. And it's like, I feel like that's exactly what happened to him. Like, he's just like, why is this like loser? Like, why am I so fixated on this little weird guy? Like, why can't I just ignore him and everything? And he legitimately can't. But there's little signs. Like, this is a guy who, you know, doesn't care about anybody, fucks whoever he wants, doesn't have attachments. And then, you know, by episode 2, by episode 2, or the end of episode 2, like Westaway is so like, flirty but unapproachable and so skittish around him that the best he can get is like holding his hand. And he's just like, he revels in the fact that they're holding hands, which is so not a thing that you would expect from him.
Mhm.
Like, and even to the point where Westaway isn't expecting it either. I also think, I mean, obviously, I think he's expecting not to enjoy holding his hand, which clearly he does like it doing. But it's like, it's this moment where it's such a sweet moment for like, so this guy who's pretty much just spent a whole episode saying, I just want to have sex with you. I just want to have sex with you. Like, let's talk about our penises or whatever he says at one point.
I actually find fascinating the fact that, you know, you mentioned that when you feel like that, when you are unhappy or just hold on to your trauma and just don't want to see the light, right? You revel in your misery, right? But with him, it's not really like that. I mean, he does not panic, or maybe he thinks that he can control the situation, but when he because he kind of acts in a way that like when he tries to look at him like as an object, right, at Wusaway. But what I find most interesting is when he realizes that he's catching feelings, he does not try to get away. He does not try to put distance between them. And I feel like this is like something that I want to tie to a later discussion that I'm thinking maybe we're going to have about alternatives, because I'm thinking that someone who had a relationship where they were betrayed, where that affected their life, that left them miserable and just traumatized, when put in a situation when they are conscious of the fact, when they're in a situation, when they're conscious of the fact that they're catching feelings again, wouldn't it scare them and make them want to sever the relationship, make them activate their flight or fight response? That does not happen to him.
I think the reason for that is like multiple things, but mainly because of who Westaway is. Like, I feel like if it was any other character, depending on what they did and their intentions and how they acted and things like that, maybe his response would have been different. But because it was Westaway does all these things that, like, as I said, in the beginning, I think he's just like, who is this like weirdo loser who is like thoroughly entertaining me? And why do I want to bend him over every surface that is nearby? Like, he first off, he just really wants to like do him. That's like the main motivation for him. But then Westaway starts doing all these things. And it's funny too, because Westaway starts doing all these things in, for the explicit purpose of getting his revenge, but yet it's almost like they're tricking and fooling themselves while they're trying to fool each other, essentially.
They're creating this safe environment for themselves, just like when they talk in the prison and they put distance between themselves where they can like mess with each other. They say stupid things, but in the end, like it makes them feel safe to really to be with their feelings for a while, to feel them and then act on them, right?
Well, as I said, it's interesting because, as I said, I think a huge part of the reason why Shisheng doesn't run away, essentially, is, as I said, because the way Westaway behaves. Now, it's so funny because Westaway has controlled Shisheng pretty much from the get-go. And I think in the beginning, he lets him do it in a way that, like, and I feel like he feels like he's letting him do it all the way through. Like, later on, like, I think he has this, like, Shisheng probably has this misapprehension later in the story that, like, he's given all the power to Westaway, but like he ultimately could take it back at any point. Like, he lets him have his way, kind of thing. But the reality of the situation is that would never happen, because if he was to try and take back what he's given him, it would hurt Westaway, and he doesn't want to do that. So, like, this is their dynamic now. Like,
especially after the death of the mother, when he came back, like that was solidified.
That's right. And it's firmly established from like right at the beginning. So, like, they start the revenge plan, him and the doctor, and they do that thing with the car in the rain where he's got the car and he's like, can't get it up over the bridge or whatever. And like, here's this guy who has like a henchman driving him around and whatever. He gets out of the car in the fucking rain and pushes this thing for Wes away purely and simply because he wants to talk to him again. Like, he wants to interact
He's
with
playing with him. Like, he's playing his game. He's like, yeah, okay, you want me to do this? Let's see what happens.
Yeah. And so, but he's not realizing that in this moment, he's basically making his bed, and it's so funny because Westaway shows him his true colors and his true personality pretty much from the get-go. So he already knows, like, like when Westaway is saying, I'm not like this, he's like, I know, I've seen it, I know you're a little schemer weirdo, like, I know the truth, I've seen what you're doing. But like, even with the cart thing, so like he's pushing, they're like together pushing this cart up this hill or over this bridge in the rain, and then all of a sudden Westaway just jumps on it and he's like, oh, I'm so tired, and makes Shishang push him, and he lets him do it. Like, he's a spoiled princess from like the very beginning. But there's, and then he starts learning about the snakes and stuff, and it's all just a scheme to try and get closer to Shishang, to try and make some money, but he ends up falling in love with them. Like, like he loves little jealousy so much, for example, out of the snakes. He's
it's
even
so funny.
sorry.
He's like doing this as a joke. He's like indulging Wusaway as a joke until like at some point he realizes that no, it's not a joke anymore. It's his life.
Yeah, exactly. And it's so funny though, because, as I said, he keeps doing these things that I think like are surprising to Shishang. They take him out of moments, and so like I feel like he doesn't really get the opportunity to like hide or feel scared or whatever, because he's so bamboozled by like the fact that this guy has the audacity to do some of the stuff he's doing. So like, for example, when he feeds little jealousy and stuff, and Shishang is like, he won't eat from anyone else, and there you have little jealousy like eating from West away and stuff like that, and so like then he's jealous as well. Like, he's just like, everything surprises him. Most people are scared of the snakes, West away is like straight away like, oh, my baby, like, it's just he keeps doing all these things that like bamboozle Shishang almost, and also because he really wants him sexually as well, like, and West away is doing this. It's really funny because, of course, obviously the flirting and all that sort of stuff, and the trying to get him interested and all that is part of the plan. But he's also like low-key having like gay panic while all this is happening. So he's inadvertently doing a really good job of the whole like, come and get it, and then putting
yes
red light.
Yes, that's what I wanted to say as well, because this is also part of why he doesn't get scared, because he cannot afford it. If he steps back, he must feel like Wusaway will just disappear, because he must feel that he must observe that Wusaway is panicking, that he is not
he lose ground in the battle of the war to get his backside.
Yeah, but he probably has like a sixth feeling that Wusaway might run away at any moment. Like, he's a flight risk. He does not know. It's because Wusaway is only scheming and he's having gay panic. He thinks that I don't know how he explains it to himself. Maybe he thinks that Wusaway is overwhelmed just with feelings, or he doesn't know what he's doing, but he's aware of it.
I think in the early episodes though, like, he's so like enamored by like how weird this kid is, but also like he really wants to bury the bone, basically, and so pardon the puns, like, he really, really wants to have sex with him, and so he's so in this, like, as you said, this battle of this like 2 steps forward, 1 step back, and as you said, like, at any opportunity he might lose ground if Westerwave runs, and he doesn't know, as you said, he doesn't understand why he's being so like difficult. Like, he keeps saying to him, like, why are you being like this or whatever, because it makes no sense to him. He's like, what's the problem?
You got me, just have me. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm here.
And it's like, so but while this is happening, he's not realizing that like more is going on than just that, but he's distracted by the fact by how much he wants him, I think. And so that also stops him from being a bit afraid. But it's there's this scene, and I can't remember exactly where it is, where they've already kissed a few times. And I don't know if it's the scene where I don't know if it's after where he catches Wes away like wanking himself and thinking about him, or if it's another scene, because there's so many scenes where they basically like sleep together without actually having sex. And the fact that like he keeps going to the doctor's surgery, this like uncomfortable like little tiny bed in what is basically a medical storeroom, when he has like a luxury, you know, whatever, or he's, you know, he could go home and sleep in his luxury bed with his parent, or, you know, whatever. Not with his parents, his parents. I'm like, grammar is important, Zoe. Yeah, with like he has these opportunities, but he'd rather sleep kind of like, I guess like slumming it is probably the correct word or correct terminology. And not even have sex. He just wants to be with him. Like, but it's so funny. There's a thing where they're in the bed together and he goes to kiss him or something. And Westaway is like, you know, like, no, like, you know, like kind of struggling. And he says to him something like, you just love this, don't you? Or something like that. And Westaway is like, he freezes for a moment and he says nothing because like he does just love it. And it's so funny because like you can see him going like, fuck.
Why do I love this? What the fuck is happening?
Yeah, he's like, he does. And, you know, and I think it's, as I said, it's either just after he's almost like sprung him, like, you know, pleasuring himself, or it's like another time, but it's after that as well. And it's just, you know, there's all these things. But as I said, like, there's so many moments before the episode with the snake where he just like, you know, they have these moments where, like it's so obvious that there are real feelings there. You know, like him telling Shishang that he needs more Shishang telling Westaway that he needs more you know, sugar figurines and that because he keeps giving them to the girlfriend and all that, and then Westaway finding all of them, including the very first one he gave to him, like in a case, you know, being kept safe kind of thing. Like they're mementos. He could never, like, they're his precious, you know, he's keeping them in a display case, much the same way he keeps the snakes. Like they are a prized possession. And so like there's these little moments like this. And also, like, you know, I think it's episode 6 or something. They're at Shishang's place, and he, you know, basically really wants to have sex with him again, and sort of is kind of forcing the issue. And Westaway says to him, if we do this now, like, this will only ever be it. You'll never have my heart. And he backs right the fuck off. And it's like, okay, like that, he's not the person you see from the very beginning, first episode. He's not the person to back away when he wants something this much. Like, he's working so hard for this guy. Already at episode 6, like he's just like, he wants his heart more than he wants his ass, which is like a huge moment in itself. I felt like
he wants him whole.
Yeah. I was just like, wow, he really does not want to, you know, do these things. And it's also in episode 6 where, because I think it's episode 5, they go back to, he shows up at the mother's house and they spend some time together and they go out and they have the kiss in the field, which is really the first time where Westaway, because they've already had their first kiss at that point. But the first real kiss, I feel like, to me, is the one in the cornfield, because Westaway participates. Like, he doesn't just stand there and like let it happen to himself. Like he actively kisses him back. And
you know,
it's funny. Sorry?
No, go on.
It's funny because Shishang makes it not a bribe. He makes it like a threat, like, you know, kind of bribe, I guess. Right?
A threat.
Blackmail. He blackmails him.
Yeah.
like he takes the like ownership away from Westaway. Like, you can enjoy this kind of thing, because he says to him, like, if you let me kiss you, I won't tell your mother, kind of thing. And so, like, he doesn't have to feel bad about the fact that he kisses him. But you have him actually kiss him back. So that's like kind of a big moment, I feel
It's
like.
very
That to me-
interesting.
yeah, that to me, I feel like is their first kiss, you know?
You know, you reminded me of this moment, and I had this thought. The writing of the series is just amazing, and especially the writing of the characters. I loved, and this nuance of Shisheng being so observant and aware of everything that is related to Wusawei is so well done. He reads him so well. You can actually see him being observant. You can actually see him how he understands Wusawei, how like the thing with the bed. He knows that if he's going to do that, if he's going to, have sex with Wusawei that night, nothing is going to happen. He's going to lose him. Or in the field, as you mentioned, that just was amazing. And an amazing observation, Zoe. But yeah, for sure, like he like took.
You can't see me, but I'm doing a curtsy right now.
It's great because they do this, and then they created this character that is very smart. And it does not feel like, writer's wisdom. They did it well. It's not like it's just smart because the writers said he's smart, there are so many characters that they tell you, oh, he's so fucking smart. Oh, look at this character. He's wise. And then he just knows stuff, and you don't know why he knows stuff. You don't know why they like suddenly have all the information. But here it just makes sense, because he loves Wusawei, and he understands him. He wants to know everything about him. He's obsessed with him. And this, understanding that he has of Wusawei leads to certain scenes and certain situations that are fascinating to watch. Like, for example, the way he uses Yu in the beginning to get a reaction out of Wusawei and to like make Wusawei approach him and do something, right? Because in the beginning he mentioned Yu when he's trying to make Wusawei jealous. But when he starts to notice that it's actually upsetting for Wusawei, he stops doing that. When Yu calls, he hides the phone. When, she's mentioned, he sees Wusawei start, showing sadness, and he like tries his best to like change the direction of the conversation to let him know that he's going to make it up for him, And this also... important. Yeah, this also leads to the conflict feeling so real, because you're not just looking at characters being blind or like having this stupid misunderstanding or fight that does not make sense, but you can see that they understand each other, like at least one more than the other, right? But the circumstances are like this, the feelings that they're having, they're
very human characters.
Yes, it's just it's so good. It's so good, and this is why I
said to you that this show is like, it feels like it's real life.
Yeah, the misunderstanding, the breakup was so well done. The way they got back together was so well done, and Shisheng understood. He was aware, just as he was aware about the scheming. He was aware of why they're breaking up, what is happening, but like he could not do anything about it. And I think that's just exquisite writing.
Yeah, I think like that whole scene, and we'll talk about that in a minute because I've got so much to say about that scene. But like, there's just what you were saying. The thing I love as well about the fact that, as you said, Shisheng is so observant and he knows Westaway so well. But I love the moments when Westaway does something and Shisheng's just like, what the fuck? Because like he could not even in a million years like assumed that he would do that. Do you know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? Like, there's a couple of those moments in throughout the series where, like, Westaway
Well,
again.
it's usually because Wusaway sacrifices something. Like he
Yeah.
decides to
But some of
sacrifice
them are
himself. I'm
funny.
sorry. Yeah.
Like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
some of them are funny, and they're like, it's because he's done something crazy or whatever. And Shishang is just like, seriously, like, what the hell? Because it's come out of left field, and like, he thinks he's got him all pictured, he's got him all figured out, and for the most part, he has. And then Wesley does there's something weird or whatever. And but you hit the nail on the
Mesmerizes
head. The
him a
main
bit more.
time. Yeah, the main times that it happens is when Westaway sacrifices himself during the breakup, when he's in prison. Like, there's these moments where
Or with the snake, where when he intervened before the guys that were sent by Yu killed the
yeah.
snake.
Well, that's right, because everybody else is like in the past, like you get the impression that everyone else either has hated the snakes, like Yu, or has been jealous of the snakes because they represent like his past. He's to a certain extent, Shishang is untouchable in terms of like trying to get to his heart or whatever. You assume that that's how it's been for like the last however many years, and a huge part of that are the snakes. They're almost like a big brick wall that surrounds him. Whereas, Westaway doesn't treat the snakes that way. Like with Little Jealousy, he loves Little Jealousy. He embraces them. He touches them. He learns about them. He is, as you said, he sacrifices. He even is like sorry. Like, even though he is very firm, and he mentions it many times to the doctor and other stuff about where he says about how he's kind of a bit pissed off about the fact that Shishang seems to value snakes over humans, over people. And there's actually the episode is even called that, people are more important than snakes or something like that. Is one of the titles. And, it's a running thing. And of course, like, even when Shishang is apologizing for the fact that, Westaway gets hurt by a yellow dragon and all that sort of stuff, he still feels bad that he had to kill Yellow Dragon. Like, he's not the same. Like, he's so different from any of the other people who've like tried to surround themselves around Shishang as well. So that's another huge thing that like he's not always expecting, but once he understands him, like once he gets it, like even though he's angry when Westaway sacrifices himself to protect Little Jealousy when he almost gets killed by those thugs, and he's angry that he put himself in the way, he understands it because he already knows that that's just who Westaway is. But like he's like, he's not happy about it.
Yeah.
Like, he gets it, but he's not happy about it. But the other thing that like I realized as well, another reason why I realized earlier on, like, that he was so down for him. So you have episode 6, right, where Westaway also really starts to realize, I think, that he's having feelings. He doesn't want to admit it, but he totally is, because he's very affected by the fact that when he goes to see Shishang, and Shishang is like drunk and like miserable because it's like the birthday or the anniversary or whatever of the ex, and he's just like, he even tries to send him away and all that because he just doesn't want to, like, he just wants to revel in his darkness. That's kind of like the only time we really see him do that, except for at the very beginning of the show. And but ultimately he ends up snapping out of that a bit, and because Westaway gets hurt, like he hits his head on his way out on the way out the door, and said he drags him back in because he doesn't, he's sorry and he doesn't want him to leave and things like that. But they do this thing, and I never noticed it. Like, you see earlier, I don't know if it's earlier in this episode or at the end of the last episode, because it's the previous episode where they kiss in the cornfield and that, and I think it's at the end of that episode where like he's in his office and his henchman comes in to see him, and he's like just sitting there eating like an ear of corn, like just munching on this ear of corn that got sent home with him, I think from like Westaway's mom, and he's just like loving life and chewing on this corn, and he's got like, his man's like, what the fuck? But I never noticed when I was watching episode 6, when he's all like drunk and miserable and whatever, they pan across the room and you see inside this rubbish bin, which is near like where he had been sitting when Westaway turned up, and it's full of like corn that's been eaten. So like, even though he was like miserable and like being all like sad sack and drinking or whatever, he was eating this corn that
he already
like,
was trying to self-soothe using something related to Westaway.
Exactly. Like, so already he's like, it's almost like now, like in like respective, like looking back on this scene, it's almost like this was a mourning scene, like that one last moment where you let go.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like he's been holding all this in for such a long time, and now there's no room left for it because all of this darkness and sadness and like anger that he had before was like pushing everything down. But now Westaway has like wiggled his way in there, and there's not room for both things. So it was almost like it was like he's expelling it, like an
Uh-huh.
exorcism almost,
Mm-hmm.
And so like, but it's all these little moments like that where you're just like, wow, he really, cares about him, sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Way before, any of those things.
Several more things that I want to mention. The snakes and the snakes metaphors. From my point of view, the yellow snake represented he was kind of like the embodiment of Wang Shuo, who is Shisheng's ex, and how the memory of Wang Shuo killed every potential for a different future for Shisheng. And he was someone who reveled in the past and he was holding on to it as well. He used that snake to get away other people from each other. I thought at some point that as Sheng Yu, his Shisheng's friend, was offering him his ex I don't know, partners, I guess, because you cannot really call them boyfriends. It's kind of a parallel with the fact that the yellow dragon was killing Sheng Yu's snakes. The snakes were like a representation, embodiment of those partners, ex-partners that Sheng Yu was offering to Shisheng. And then, of course, there's Little Jealousy, who is, for me, the embodiment of Shisheng that is all about Wang Shuo, or the part of him that was created following the trauma, following that experience. I mean, based on what happened to him, it's like the negative stuff that was left after Wang Shuo. And everything that, of course, the memory of Wang Shuo, aka the snake, tried to, almost killed Wei, and then Wang Shuo had to go from one person to another, had to be like tamed by Wei, and then given to Wang Shuo, and then given back to Wei. I think that was some very neat writing. Do you have anything to say about the snakes?
Look, in terms of the imagery and stuff, I think you covered it pretty well. I think it's really interesting. It's funny. I have that whole story about my misinterpreting a spoiler that I read with the snakes. Like I thought something happened in the book, but I think I read it wrong initially, and so I had this like spoiler in my head, and I was like, wow, this is really interesting because it shows the characters in like very specific ways, and I was really excited to see that on the screen, and then they didn't do that. And so I think I misinterpreted the spoiler. But initially, like, it's really, really interesting that the way, for example, Little Jealousy, I mean, the fact that the snake is called Little Jealousy as well is really interesting to me because, he's this, like, right up till the end, like, pretty much all the other snakes are gone, and it's just really Little Jealousy. We don't hear about any of the other snakes. And yet, Westaway never sees Little Jealousy as a connection to Wang Xiao. Even when Wang Xiao comes back, as far as he is concerned, Little Jealousy is his child. Like that's how he looks at Little Jealousy. And I think that says a lot about his character, but it also is, it also says a lot about Wang Xiao as well, because when his brother returns Little Jealousy to Westaway, he basically says like this, this character, this snake is mourning you. Like he
He sees you as
doesn't want to be
family.
handled.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because you're his person, and you know, he's used to you, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, like it's implied that Wang Shao has let the snake go, which means like this connection, this like false connection, essentially, because it is a false connection. Like it's, you know, uh, I feel like in this respect, I feel like it's interesting because I feel like Shisheng gives the snake back. And this is my interpretation, of course.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like Shisheng gives the snake back to Wang Shao because it's like a final rejection, kind of.
Mm-hmm.
It's like it's his way of saying like, this is my last tie to you and I don't need it anymore and I don't want it anymore. As much as like I maybe love this snake or whatever, I don't love you. And I feel like he probably feels like this snake, it has the potential to be a problem between him and Wesaway because of its ties to Wang Shao, right? And I feel like as well, like from his perspective, he probably feels like, because Wang Shao is not letting go at this point. And so I feel like he feels that he needs to give this snake back, because if he doesn't, you know, even if he was to keep it, then it says something to Wang Shao that it shows him a meaning that doesn't exist. But this is the one way for him to sort of explicitly say, like, I don't want to have anything else to do with you, you know. I don't hate you anymore. Like I don't, there's not even enough love left for me to hate you. Like it doesn't mean anything to me anymore. Like there's no, you know, the anger, everything is gone. Like there's just nothing gone except for like the memories of what we had. And like he doesn't need the snake for that. He doesn't need Wang Shao for that. Like he's at that point, and it's even more significant because Wesaway has basically broken up with him at this point. It doesn't matter. Everything he has and everything he is belongs to Wesaway. And it's interesting that he gives the snake back to Wang Shao. Like to me, this is one of those moments where he doesn't understand Wesaway. And it's a shame that they didn't address the fact that Little Jealousy is back. It's because once we have Little Jealousy come back and then they get back together again, the snake is not mentioned again, which is one of the things that it's one of my regrets about the story, about the show.
Yeah. One more thing I think that maybe is a reason why he gives the snake to Wang Shao is it's like a way to honor their relationship and their past together. Because we were talking about why, when asked by Wang Shao to tell him that he does not love him, Shisheng does not say it. And how, like, it's probably because in that moment he was like in emotional, experiencing emotional turmoil, and he felt he owed Wang Shao a truthful answer. And in that moment, he could not understand his feelings well enough to really mean what he's saying. So he needed some time to come up with an answer that he 100% believes in. And so maybe it was like the way to honor, like, yeah, this exists. You can have this. This means so much to you, but I don't need this anymore.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's true. And I think as well, like the reason why I thought quite a bit about that actually after we had the discussion about why he didn't, because I know a lot of people had issues, saw a lot of stuff on the timeline about that, like people having issues with why he didn't say, I don't love you anymore, when it was very clear that he didn't love him anymore. From our perspective, it was clear. From his, not so much. Forgetting the whole like stuff where you've got this person who basically you've hated, because let's be honest, he's not loved him for the last like 6 years or whatever he's been missing. He's hated him because he hated him, and it's hate, not probably not real hate, but like anger driven hate, because he doesn't understand. Like he didn't give him the opportunity to get answers. He didn't, like, he just did this thing, supposedly this bad thing, and left. Like, and so, you know, and already their relationship was having problems, which also Sheshang did not understand why these things were happening. So he had no explanation. There was nothing that he couldn't move past it, because he couldn't go, okay, this happened because of this or whatever. And so besides him having to deal with all of that and the frustration and the anger of the fact that this guy has finally turned up at a moment when he least needs him to, like he has essentially moved on. all him being there has done has made his life more difficult. Because besides the fact that now Wesley is acting weird, he's jealous, he's upset, the mother is dying, he's holding that secret. He's like, there's so much other shit going on in his life in that moment that realistically, Wang Xiao saying to me, "Tell me you don't love me," is not really like something that he's like, I can't deal with that right now.
Yes.
You know, like he's like, this is like on the totem pole of what is important to me right now. This is not that important to me, but I need to say it in a way that you understand. Like, so I do think it was about him needing to like organize his thoughts, because he's not a character who just rashly says things without
And probably he
saying it. At
didn't
least
want to be
normally.
dismissive. He wanted the message to really hit the target.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right. Yeah, that's right. Because he already knew here. Like, there's no way he wasn't confused. Like, he knows he loves Wes Away. He's like dying inside because, you know, of the fact that this woman that he's become to, you know, has come to love, and he knows means so much to the man he loves, and is, you know, like, she's, you know, this horrible thing is happening, and there's this weight crushing him that has absolutely nothing to do with Wang Xiao. Like, there's so much happening at in this period of time. The fact that people were upset about the fact that he didn't just automatically go, "Oh yeah, no, I don't have any feelings to you," it to me seems really silly, but that's just, you know, my take on it.
Yeah.
But the bit with the snake, and this is what I was saying as well, like I feel like probably a bit of it as well would have been that, like, to close the door completely for Wes Away, the snake has to go. Whereas from Wes Away's perspective, he's like, he does not attach the snake to Wang Xiao. Like, it's not even, he doesn't even really attach it to Shishang almost. It's like, he's like, this is my child. Like, this, he refers to
from
jealousy several times. You know?
I think he sees Wang Xiao, the snake, as part of Shishang. And he just accepts Shishang. Once he does, he accepts every part of him.
Yeah. He doesn't. That's right. He's not like other people. He loves the snake because he loves the snake, like, essentially. So I would have loved, you know, and even when everything was happening, you know, his mother's died, they're not together. He's just devastated. He's bereft. When he is given back little jealousy, it gives him so much joy. And it's like we see when it gets thrown away, like this panic that he has, because that, as you said, it's the connection to Shishang, that it's like the last connection to Shishang that he feels like he has in that moment. But also, like, it's just, bottom line, he loves that snake. You know what I mean? And I feel like if they had been together, like if they hadn't have broken up and Shishang had done this, Wes Away would have been like, "What the fuck? Go and get my snake." Like,
well, you see, I think it's because, like, yeah, the snake doesn't exist, and so in this story, it's used as a symbol mostly, and probably this is why it's being thrown from one person to another. Because, like, if you would not give up your pet just because it reminds you of your ex, usually, right?
No.
Especially after.
It works as a good metaphor for, a little jealousy works as a good metaphor for Shishang's heart too, because this idea of, you know, Wes Away wanting to keep it, you know what I mean? Like, it's his now. You know, it might have belonged to Wang Xiao at one point, but this is his snake now. Is like, it's symbolic of Shishang's heart as well. But I would have liked to have seen, we didn't get, and I would have liked to have seen a scene where, you know, like Shishang came back, even if it was from like after he got out of prison, where he was like, you know, come out in the lounge room or something and saw a little jealousy in the house, and he was just like, "What the fuck?" Like, where, like, like, even if they didn't have a conversation, even just like tapped on the glass and went like, "Where did you come from?" kind of thing, you know. Would have been, or even just for like, you know, Wang Xiao to like walk out and be like wearing little jealousy the way like Shishang used to, and Shishang to just like do a double take. Like, would have loved that.
The series could have been so much longer. So many moments they could have done that we would have loved.
I kind of feel like them bringing back the snake a little bit. I was like, oh, I wish they had completed it full circle. Do you know what I mean? There was a few moments like that.
Yeah.
But that's kind of like, that's a really, you know, it's a picky fine point, you know, in terms of like did I have an issue with anything? Not really. Like
Mhm.
they're just little things that I would have liked to have seen, you know,
Yeah.
and there's reasons why I don't understand why things happened and stuff like that. And there's a lot of anger going around in regards to like how short the episode was, how much
Mhm.
stuff has been cut out. I saw something today, interestingly enough, on Twitter that I was not aware of. Apparently, at some point, it was the editing or something to do with the way the show was done. It was sold to another company or something. Here we go. It says here, ever since episode 14, I don't know how true this is, just
Mhm.
with a grain of salt here. It says ever since episode 14, the editing rights were sold to a different company, and they've basically just deleted so many scenes between Shishang and Wesaway.
Mm.
And they're like, it's not even about missing like, you know, sex scenes or kiss scenes or whatever, because they did take out a lot of the intimate scenes, almost all of the intimate scenes.
Mhm.
But they're saying it's about losing a big part of the storyline and the characterization, because there was other bits of story that was filmed that was the intention of the writers, it was the intention of the directors, it was the intention of the actors to tell the story in a certain way. And a lot of that was cut out, which is a shame because we may never see it. I mean, if they release a
No.
DVD
Why did you need to tell me this? Now I feel bad. No.
I
Okay, let's get back to talking about the good stuff and, you know, celebrating what we have for now.
we do, but I do want to say something because it's funny, because I remember you talking to me about how you saw a spoiler about Westaway topping or something.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. She's like, where is she going with this?
Yeah.
So they shot a scene for the last part of the last episode, which isn't him topping, but it's him initiating
Uh-huh.
like sexual intimacy between the two of them, which he didn't do really. It was
Uh-huh.
always like initiated by Shishang. So this moment, like where they're in their house, where he's in his home and everything, there was this scene that got cut out where basically as I said, they filmed it all and everything, where he initiates it all. And it's
Mhm.
like, well, that would have been an interesting character arc as well to have seen.
Mhm.
So I'm all right not seeing it. I like knowing that it happened, if that makes any sense. It feels a little picture in my brain. I was like, oh yeah, okay, that fits. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
even though we didn't get to see it, I'm like,
Yeah.
okay. There's something else as well, and I don't know whether to tell you or not now, because I don't know whether you're gonna want to know, or you're gonna be sad if I tell you, or you're gonna be like, oh, I
Well,
don't know if it fits.
you decide. You have the information.
I'm gonna tell you because I think it's like fun, and I think it's, as I
Okay.
said, to me in the same way, I feel like it fits. Like it's one thing we talked about too. And I feel like it's interesting for us to discuss it. But like it, to me, in my mind, it fits, and I'm like, okay, so that happened. Okay,
Okay.
cool.
What is it?
Would it have been good to see it? Yes, but the knowing that it happened, like, just let's just say it happened in the universe, it's all good, kind of thing. Maybe they'll release it in a DVD or something, I don't know. But the bit where, you know, like how Shishang tried to get Westaway to call him hubby or husband a
Yeah.
couple of times.
Mhm.
Like the first time they have sex, he's like, call me and Westaway is like, no.
Mhm. Oh my, he does.
But yeah,
Ooh.
much in the same way as
My stubborn.
Westaway Shishang, would ask
Oh.
Westaway if he missed him, like when they fought or when they were apart and that. And Westaway would always say no, you know. And then in the prison, when he said to him, "Did you miss me?" or something, he says, "Yes, I missed you so much. I like gave away like everything, essentially." Yeah, in that when he gets out of prison and that, and he says to him, you know, like about them being a couple, and he's like, "Okay, call me hubby" or whatever, and he's like, "No fucking way." I'm
Mhm.
what do you call it, ad-libbing there, but basically that's the intention. So yeah, apparently after he says, "I have a home again" or something, he calls him hubby.
I hope that at some point they release a director's cut. I've seen some series that have the director's cut. So if they do, then we will certainly have another Revenge Love episode where we talk about all the changes because, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, look, honestly, and the other thing is sometimes they just, even if they don't do that, sometimes things just get leaked. The fact that all of this got leaked by someone who was there when it was filmed, and they're basically like, and not only that, I can't remember, I want to see it, but I need to hang on. I need to mute my TV. Wait, I need to see what Wesley is wearing in the last scene, because the other thing that's in the episode that they supposedly filmed. Yeah, it must have been a different day or something, because he's wearing in a scene that they filmed at the house, he's wearing the outfit he wore. They refer to it as the one where he tried to seduce Shishang. I'm like, which fucking episode was that? So yeah, he apparently Shishang kisses his belly because he's wearing the same top.
Oh,
And it's like, it would have
okay.
been nice to see that. But okay, that's all right. I'm happy we can live without it. It's the picture. They put the picture in my brain. I'm like, okay, I can imagine it. I have a pretty good
There are so many things that we can imagine. They made this character so real.
I'm like, that's what your imagination is for, people. Just put it in there.
Yeah.
Or
write fanfics. Yep.
Yeah, that's
okay.
Right.
So because we were talking, I want to let's get back to the series. Before I get upset. Yeah.
We were talking about the snake metaphors and stuff, and I was just saying, like, that's how I saw the snakes. Especially a little jealousy in regards to that. It's also interesting too, because you may have mentioned this, but like already my brain is like, I've forgotten what we said 10 minutes ago, but the bit about with the secondary pairing, you know, there's the scene in the last episode with them where the doctor says to him, oh my God, you sold your snake farm so that you can fund, you know, the expansion of his clinic, which yes is probably part of it, but also already Sheng Yu is like rich. Like he didn't need to sell the snake farm to fund anything really. But like it's almost like they
wanted to get rid of the imagery of the snakes. Like he represented something tainted, something twisted, and it's like Sheng Yu played with the snakes just to be around Shisheng and keep an eye on him.
Yeah, to keep an eye on him,
fit a void.
Yeah, to have a connection with
him.
Yeah. And now that their relationship is repaired, also he doesn't need that. Like they don't need that in common. They have their boyfriends. They're in each other's lives. They love each other again. Like they're best friends. They're brothers. They like the snakes aren't required. So just much the way you know Shisheng let his snakes go, he does the same thing. So like it's very clever the way they've done it. Honestly,
feel a void. I said fit a void. It's on my mind. I can't.
You're like,
okay.
I need to
Correct. Because we were talking about the breakups and about Wang Shu, I wanted to mention again the writing, how good it is when it comes to parallels. For example, Wu Wei is abandoned by Yu Yu because she sees him as a loser, and then when Shisheng confesses to Wu Wei, he says he loves him. He's mesmerized by his loser aura.
Yeah,
and then
the one reason why he gets rejected is like the one reason that Shisheng is like, can't let him go.
Yeah, and then the thing with the insecurities, it was kind of obvious that the relationship between Shisheng and Wang Shu was not a good one. They triggered each other's insecurities, traumas. They did not make each other better people. They did not motivate each other to become better for each other. They were cruel to each other. And the insecurity of Wang Shu triggered him to hurt Shisheng. It made him want to ruin his friendship. It made him want to control him. And then he left, right? So he abandoned him while Wu Wei also gets triggered. His insecurities get triggered, but instead of hurting Shisheng or controlling him, he kind of like releases him. So he breaks up with him in order to like save him, to make him feel better, to fix everything, to fix Shisheng's trauma.
Well, it's interesting because Wang Shao, obviously, as we know, had some mental health issues, but beyond his paranoia surrounding that and like the intricacies of Sheng Yu and Shisheng's relationship and stuff, the way he talks to Wei, and he gets Wei so mixed up and it's interesting the way that happens, but he gets him so mixed up and so insecure about the depths of Shisheng's feelings, and there's two reasons why that happens. But the misapprehension of it is, and I almost wonder as well, this whole thing that Wang Shao does, and then the way he leaves, like whether or not he just thought that, Shisheng would like hunt him down or something. I don't know. Because in his mind, like hurting one another was like love to him.
Mm.
You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah,
Like
yeah.
triggering jealousy and like all this sort of stuff was how they showed their love, which, let's face it, is not healthy and it's not love, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you're hurting someone, if you're taking joy in hurting someone, you don't love them.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's twisted, And so
Well,
the
I think you can want to hurt someone even though you love them.
no, but I mean like in this way, like the way he does it is not, that's not a healthy relationship.
That
Like
is definitely not a healthy
you can
relationship.
be, yeah, you can be angry and like, want to be, momentarily vindictive or whatever because your partner has pissed you off or whatever. Like that's human nature. But like wanting to do it and thinking that the outcome will mean that like the response is directly related to how much they love you, especially if they act negatively in return and hurt you back, that's not healthy.
I think that's more about control and dominance. He wanted to control Shisheng and he could not get him to surrender. While with Wusawei also wants to control Shisheng, but Shisheng surrendered to him because Wusawei does it out of kindness and he does it out of love. And, he would never, how do you say it? Like take advantage of.
Abuse it. Yeah,
Yes.
abuse it.
Yes.
I think as well, that goes into as well what you were saying about Shisheng understanding Wesaway. Wesaway needs that control because he's never had it before.
Mm.
Like he's never been in control of his own destiny. Like he's, every time he's tried to do something in his life, bad stuff has happened. His dad died. He comes like, like from a more disadvantaged background. He tries and he fails, but he keeps trying, but he's never had the power. Like everyone else always takes the power from him. So I feel like that it's such a little thing to Shisheng in the beginning. As I said, I feel like he feels like it's the illusion of power. So he's like, he says to Shisheng and that, like, and even I think his henchman, I'm totally fine with him having the power. Like it doesn't mean anything. It doesn't matter kind of thing. Whereas like realistically, by the time, they get to the end of the series, like he has fully surrendered all of the power to Wesaway and they're both totally comfortable with that.
Yeah.
It's part of what makes Wesaway feel safe, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And it also I think makes Shisheng feel safe too.
Mm-hmm.
The reason why I feel like the Wesaway is so triggered by this idea of like if the person doesn't hurt you and isn't jealous and isn't mean to you means they don't love you, is because he sees how emotional and how tethered Shisheng is early on, like still to Wang Shao. Like he sees that himself, like he interprets it in a way and it hits him really hard in that moment, even though it's really, really early on and he really hasn't, even thought about having feelings for this guy. He's not even really entertained the idea, but clearly subconsciously his heart has been thinking about it because he's upset by the fact that he's upset about his ex. Do you know what I mean? Like it hurts him to see him that way.
Yeah.
And so it's painful for him to see him that way. And so like he remembers the power of that. So when Wang Shao says to him, "Oh, like this is how it was with me," he's reminding him of that desperation that Shisheng exhibits in front of him. And then also the only real relationship that we see him have is with Yu, and she's a fucking evil cow and she's a total bitch to him the whole time. And like that is his like guidepost for romantic relationships, you know what I mean? And then you've got Shisheng, who is, in his history behaved this way, whatever. When they first met, he was kind of cold and a bit rough, but all he's done in their relationship is give in to Westaway to care for him, to take care of him, to be careful with him. Like he handles him like he's fine porcelain that's worth $1 million. Like he just is like so enamored, in awe, wants to preserve this adorable little loser. Like, he loves him so much that he can't bear the idea of putting hands on him in a way that would cause him pain, making him cry, like any of these, outside of like sexual interactions, any of these things are completely abhorrent to him. And so this is how he's changed. This is how he's gotten healthy and realized that this is how you should treat someone you care about. But Westaway hasn't experienced that himself in his past relationship. And then you've got Wang Xiao saying, oh, like, it shouldn't be like this. Why isn't he jealous? Well, the thing is, the really hilarious irony of all this is all of the stuff that Westaway does to try and make him jealous, to try and make him petty. It all totally works. He is a fucking petty, jealous asshole. He just doesn't want to show Westaway that side of him. And I think also, especially because he knows what's happening with the mother, he knows that there's something else is way more important is going on, that there is going to be something that's going to be really upsetting for Westaway coming up. He doesn't want to harm him any further, but he's still jealous. I mean, he blocks.
He's trying not to be, though.
Sorry?
He's trying. He's doing his best not to be.
He does. That's right. He's trying to be a better person for him, because he's like, this was not healthy. He doesn't want the relationship he had with Wang Xiao with Westaway. He wants their relationship. And their relationship is built on trust and, like honoring one another kind of thing.
Yeah. And the issue in the end, they both acknowledges that they did not communicate. They had these thoughts. Yeah. They chose to scheme against each other. It was fun. It was fun for them. It was fun for us in the beginning because it was hilarious. But once things got serious and with the potential to hurt them, they needed to communicate instead of scheming. And they did not do that. They listened to other people.
Yeah. I love how they basically said that they would, like in the future, let's just talk about shit.
Yeah.
Let's sort it out.
Yeah,
I loved that about
Me
that.
too.
Let's not hide things. If there's a problem, we talk about it. And I think it's also Shishang that says that, and that just shows so much growth. And as I said, it shows so much the kind of relationship and the kind of family that he wants to build with Westaway. And that's the really sad bit about the misunderstandings that happen here. I mean, he does the thing where he blocks his number on the phone when he sees they've been messaging, which is kind of a blatant thing. That is fucking petty as fuck. But Westaway doesn't even like really acknowledge that, and I think it's because he's so in his own head about it. He doesn't even like really notice that that's the significance of that. And then of course, unfortunately, because you've got Wang Xiao whispering in his ear like a dirty little,
I think maybe it's because he think in that moment he thinks maybe, oh my god, how many times did I say that? Like that he is entertaining for Shang, and that it's a game, and so this is a game that they're playing, but he's kind of tired of the game. He wants like the real thing, and he's afraid that the real thing does not exist or it's not as intense as
well, it's interesting too, because like it's so the way this all happens, like in a normal relationship where, especially with the way they started out and everything with the scheming and all the rest of it, and normally when he sees them kissing and stuff like that, like you would confront the person, you would break up, there would be whatever and all the rest of it. But he doesn't do that. He just sits with it for like so long because he doesn't want it to be true, really. He doesn't want to let go. But also at the same time, it's like he's low-key been like expecting it. He's been waiting for the other shoe to drop, like since they got together. Like every opportunity that he has, he's thinking about what happens when Shishang finds out the truth. He's trying to tell him the truth.
He's started to self-sabotage because he's expecting the worst outcome.
Can we even have a future? Like, so he's gauging him, and he keeps testing Shishang. And of course, every time he tests Shishang fails epically, but not for the reasons he thinks he is. Like like obviously you're never going to get it in a drama like this, but like an epic scene would have been a conversation where Westaway realized that all of those times that he thought he was with Wang Xiao, he was actually with his mom, and because like that in itself would be a horrific.
I mean, he kind of realizes that.
Trauma.
He kind of realizes that. when his mom tells him he visits so many times, he took me to the doctor. I think he realized, but it was just too late.
He realizes she's dying and everything. He puts all of it together,
Yeah.
you know, because there's that like one throwaway line that they give us where he's like, "Why wouldn't he tell me about this?" And it's like, well, and I love that the doctor sort of says to him, "It's probably not as simple as that."
Yeah. Oh my God, you mentioned the mom, and I want to talk about that episode 11, how it destroyed me. It fucking destroyed me. I cried for like an hour and a half, and it hit me out of nowhere. I did not expect this series to make me cry so much. I like woke up the next day with my eyes twice their normal size. And I like, it was hilarious because Zoe's also, I was the first one who watched it, and I sent her messages. And then
Yeah,
Zoe,
I waited, didn't I? There was like, I waited, and I was like, I was gonna wait until the next week because I knew it was coming, and I was like, it's gonna be bad. I don't want to watch it.
Yes.
And you were like, maybe you should wait. And then you were like, no, you need to watch it.
No, and then when she replied, she sent me messages where she was like, haha, look, this is funny, blah, blah, this is funny, oh, this is sad. My messages was me sobbing. I remember several messages where if you just listen to them, it was me just being like, no, 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 no. And I saw this weird messages, and I listened to them, and I got so embarrassed. Like I wanted to delete them all, but I could not do it. Like I wanted you to be entertained. At the same time, I was scared. I was like, traumatize you because I was crying so hard.
Yeah, but hang on. I'm confused because I think I've got my episodes wrong, because the one that I didn't watch in time wasn't episode 11. Why did episode 11 make you cry?
The same episode. Wasn't it the episode where the mom died?
No, his mum didn't die until like episode like 19 or something.
Did I say 11? I meant fucking 19. 19.
Like, wait, what?
I'm sorry. Everything that I said does not make any sense. So.
Right, yeah.
11. Oh no, I'm saying 11 again.
Episode 19, he cried. Yeah.
It was horrible.
Really funny though.
It was horrible.
The fact that you were like falling apart over episode 19, and I fell apart over episode 18.
18.
Do you remember?
Oh yeah.
I was like, oh my God, I was laughing at something, like the irony of something, and then all of a sudden I just started crying, and I'm like messaging you, and I'm going, oh my God, and I'm sobbing the whole time I'm talking to you, and I'm just like, how dare they? And I was like so mad, and I need to talk about why I was so mad, but first I need to was there something else I was going to say before about what we were talking about? No, I think I covered what I was going to say. But yeah, I need to go into a little bit of meta about a song that they use in this show. I think I might have to do a post about it to get into it more extensively. But,
you should.
Okay, so there is a song that they use in this show, and I'm actually kind of upset because they did use the song, I think, twice for the secondary couple, and this song is Wang Xiao's song. Like, it is not Wang Xiao. Sorry, this song is freaking the name.
Zoe.
This song is Wesaway's song. Like, oh my God, it is so his song. And the funny thing to me is that I think both times they use it with the secondary couple, it's like they're like running around and like laughing or something. It's not a serious moment. And this is a serious kind of haunting kind of song that they play where like when bad things are happening, or when something painful is about to happen to Westaway. It's in connection with Shishang in particular. And so it's a song I went looking for it because the first, like I'd noticed it before, but the first time it's really, really apparent is when Westaway sees Wang Xiao kiss Shishang. And I feel like it's important to put that distinction in there because Wang Xiao kisses Shishang and not the other way around. And it's called so I went looking for it because I was just like, I love this song. It's haunting. It's beautiful. I love moody music. I'm like, this is great. I'm totally going to add it to my K-pop playlist, which sounds like a weird choice, but I'm like, it'll break up the fun, poppy of the K-pop demon hunters that I'm listening to at the moment. And so, I went looking for it. I found it on Spotify. I chucked it on my playlist. I was listening to it. I was like, I love this song so much. Even though it was like, it had like sad, connotations to it, given that they're using it in this scene where he's basically like trying to convince himself he's going to be okay because, none of this was real anyway. Like he was never his, all that sort of stuff. And you can see his heart is breaking. He's trying to convince himself so hard. And like, I was like just obsessed with the song. And the more I listened to it, like the more I became so convinced that it is Westaway's song. Like, it's such a hauntingly beautiful song. And the way they use, like after they stopped using it for the secondary couple in their weird, like happy moments, it's the way they used it in this drama is so brilliant, epic, genius, fucking mean and hurtful and painful. And how dare they?
Is it like the one that goes like, is it the one that goes like, I'm sorry for what I've done?
Yeah, sing it.
Yeah. It made me cry in the second to last episode when Shisheng is eating because also Wei told him to eat well and he's crying because of everything.
They play Westaway's song. It's so meaning. This song is so meaningful. Like it's one of those ones where it's like if you just listen to it, it has a nice sound. Like if you really listen to the lyrics, it's like, holy crap, this is his song. Like it's like basically the lyrics are it starts out, it says, I'm a soul for sale. My tongue's not working. I'm a soul for sale walking inside a maze. Like in the beginning, he's so friggin' lost. He's willing to basically sell his soul to make some money. Like he says, I'm a hidden trail lost in myself for days. This is not the life I chose. It's the straw I drew. This is not the game I played. This is the price I paid. And then you've got the whole, I'm sorry for what I've done. And then the second verse is, plans that I made fell through the moment that I saw you. Here we go again, swept up in your whirlwind. So the song starts out as Wang Xiao Wang Xiao starts out as Westaway and then becomes about them almost, and about how he feels about him. And he says, like, there's a bit where it says, this is the final stand, beating it down again. All of my defenses fall, everything fades away. And then it starts going, I'm sorry for what I've done. And you could have used this song they could have used this song in so many different ways because it fits where he's being like indecisive and he's scared about, Shisheng finding out the truth and all the stuff like that. They could have like oversaturated the show in it, and it would have fit. But like they didn't. They saved it. They saved it for when it would really hurt
for it to be more impactful. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No, the music in this series is really, really good. There are multiple very nice songs, like, for example, some instrumental, several that are sad that he used in moments where they're like depressed or like lost. And even the house has a song, or they like grieving the mother. I'm not sure. I think it's the song of the house that is without the mother. Or at least this is the moment when I noticed it. Maybe they played it before.
It's interesting too, because usually you notice the music more than I do, like especially when there's scores and things like that. I tend to notice more if the music has lyrics, I think, because I've always, like, especially when I'm writing something, I always, I can always tie music and song lyrics into things where I'm writing like fiction or whatever. Just is the way my brain works. So it's probably why I fixated on this song so much.
It's probably because I usually keep my distance from songs that are very sad because they have the potential to drag me down. And I'm like, okay, so you're there, you're very pretty, but I'm not going to listen to you.
Yeah, and that makes complete sense. Whereas for me, I have the opposite reaction to them. They make me feel creative. So like they stir up my creative juices, like moody things like winter, bad weather, like, when it's all overcast and it's like miserable outside and I've got some sad, like depressing ass music going on, or whether I'm just like, oh my God, and the juices start flowing, like it's great. But this song, like, oh my God, as I said, I just liked it because it's in my wheelhouse. I mean, I listen to all sorts of music, but I really, as I said, I do love a song like this. And I thought, God, I'm going to...
You heard it, right? You heard it. Zoe said she'd make a post about it. I will not cut this out. You'll have to make a post.
But like,
Uh,
I just love like as I said, I loved the moodiness of it. And so I thought, I'm thinking, oh, it'll be great on my playlist, and I did. I spent like a week listening to it. I kind of
mhm.
was like, they're so mean the way they used it in that initial scene, as I said, where he sees Wang Xiao kiss Shishang. And then when we get to the breakup episode, and I'm leaving you, man. I'm watching this because I think you were working. I think I watched it a little bit before you, maybe. And
Mhm.
I'm leaving messages and I'm going, and I'm talking about it because I knew the breakup was coming. We'd seen it in the pilot episode, like pilot trailer. We'd seen it in the trailer. We'd seen it, like you knew it was coming. You basically knew he had
Even without
whatever.
knowing, without all the spoilers, it was clear that it was coming. Yeah.
Yeah, and then we knew it was coming, like more or less in this episode. And I'm leaving you messages, and I'm like, I'm fine, it's all good, I'm gonna be okay. I probably won't cry. And I was more or less okay, And it's funny because you and I had been talking about for like I don't know how long did this show air for? A couple of months. We'd been talking about how I couldn't understand how they break up because at this point I had no spoilers. I knew nothing. And so in my mind, Shishang was so down deep. I was like, how does he not forgive him? Because it's not, in the grand scheme of things, like he loves him now. And I couldn't picture my version, the version I have in my head of Shishang being like, that's it. I can never forgive you. I'm cutting you out of my life, which is like what he said he would do. And it's what he, has done in the past and all the rest of it. But this version of him, it made no sense to me. And so I remember we talked about it quite a bit and you had some really good points and we came back and forth and around it. And I was so happy that when they aired the episode that he was like, he was mad and he was hurt and he was upset, but he understood it. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like he was like, this thing that you started out and you did is really horrible. And it's really horrible to know that that's how we came to be. But is basically, I think he says something to him like, as long as you tell me that, this meant something and that it was like real, then I'll forgive you and we can forget about it.
Mhm.
And like, he's basically like, just tell me that it meant something.
Mhm.
And Westaway says no. And this is, like as you said, this is where Westaway's way. He breaks his own heart to try and mend Shishang's. That's exactly what he does here. But he ends up breaking both of their hearts, which is hilarious. But anyway, best intentions, of course. But as soon as he says no, the fucking song started. And it's so funny because you see Shishang, and I feel like we talked earlier. I'm going to interrupt myself. We talked earlier about like how well this show was written, and how well it was made and all the rest of it. But these characters are these characters because the actors have played them in such a way.
They
So
are
like there is
amazing.
yeah, so the actor who plays Shishang, like in this scene here where he's saying to him, like you can see he's kind of scared, you can see he's upset, you can see he's angry.
I wrote
But when
down.
he's
I'm
saying,
sorry. I wrote down his name, but I'm probably gonna butcher it. So, Jiang Xiu Ning, I think.
yeah, I'm not even going to attempt to say that. I'm just going to kill the actor who plays Shishang.
And see you, the other one who
Yeah.
played
Yeah.
Usaway. Yep.
But yeah, it's you see in his face like that even though he's angry, he's in pain, he's whatever, he's frustrated. When Westaway says no, he wasn't expecting that. He expected him to say yes. Like
Mhm.
he expected a completely different answer. Like he really truly believed that Westaway loved him, that he knew him as well as we know he knows him. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
he was so like, and he believes him in that moment as well.
I don't
The
think he
music does.
does. I don't.
In that, no,
I
in
don't
that,
think.
like, no, in that moment he does. I think he does because when he says to him afterwards, he said
I don't agree.
after that he says, "Yeah, okay, well, we agree to disagree. Let me
Okay.
explain to you.
Okay.
Let me explain to you why I think this.
Okay.
Because of his reaction in that moment, like he has the thing in his hand, he drops it. The music starts up. It's such a significant, poignant kind of like moment, and then almost immediately after that, he says to him about you make me feel like I want to die. Like this is there's this moment, right? And I feel like he truly does feel this way. Like he's so blinded by the fact that he said no, right, in that moment. And like, as I said, the music starting, that all happening, I was just like, I'm leaving messages for him. I was like, I can't believe they did this to me. I hate them so much. I'm never going to be able to listen to this song again without crying. I'm going to cry. And then I just started bawling. Anyway, if we had been doing like a live recording response for the podcast, it would have been horrific. It was Zoe slaughtered completely. I would not have been able to string 2 words that weren't like crazy sobbing rants, which is basically what you got. Anyway, then Westaway gets mad because, of course, he is like, in this moment, he's like, this guy doesn't really love me. He's still in love with his ex. I'm gonna give him back to his ex because I didn't deserve this anyway. I did this horrible thing. I made a mistake. You know, like he's already convinced himself that this is not his relationship to have. And so the fact that Shishang seems to have the, like, to me, Westaway's response here is like, you have the audacity to say something to me like that. Like, he's like, how dare you say to me that you feel like you're dying, when like that's how he feels, you know what I mean? And he feels like he's the only one in love, you know what I mean? And so he's so like pissed at him. And then that's when they start being mean to each other and like doing barbs and stuff, where, you know, Shishang's like, yes, and no, I never loved you, and, you know, all of this kind of stuff. And he's lashing out because he's hurt. But I think as soon as Westaway says to him, like, how dare you kind of like say that to me, I think then Shishang realizes that, and the more Westaway speaks to him, and the more he says and does, and even like when he reveals the truth about what really happened between Shishang and Wang Xiao, all of these things bring Shishang back around to the fact that he didn't mean it. Do you know what I mean? Like, so I feel like I agree with you on the response that like he comes back to that place in amongst the breakup fight. Like, he realizes that, you know, this is something that for whatever reason Westaway has to do, and he can't. I think he knows him well enough now to know that he can't force him in any direction. You know, like, that's the one thing he learned from him when they were doing their like chasing and the pushing pulling. Like, he has to let and also the fact that he tricked him into having sex the first time, like using the doctor and that, and he apologized for that later on. He was like, you're right, I did that, it was wrong, like, because he forced the issue. And so it's almost like he's learned his lessons from all those things. He knows that like he can't make Westaway believe him that he loves him and that this is meant to be, and that this is like, you know, they both deserve this, or, you know, whatever. Like, he has to come to that place himself. Like, whether or not he has all of that in his mind at that time, like, he comes to that obviously later on, because he says to after they break up, I think his like henchman says to him, you know, aren't you going to go and see him or something? And he says, no, I can't. Like, it has to be his decision or something like that. He's like, he has to come to that place. So like he's acknowledging the fact that like he can't be the one who caves first. And I don't think it's about ego or anything like that. I think it's that he just really understands that Westaway needs to work it out on his own. And so otherwise they're never going to be in a place where they're on an even playing field, because there'll always be doubt. There'll always be like on Westaway's part where he's never really sure. You know, he doesn't trust him, like whatever, for whatever reason, whatever reasons he had for saying no in that moment, like he needs to get past whatever that reason was for them to be able to work. And I while this is like really well thought out, like reasoning, I don't think Shishang had that in his mind at the time, but I think he understood Westaway, like, if that makes any sense. So I agree that I don't think he believed him, but I think in that very moment, the very first moment when he says no, and then when he says to him, you know, like, you make me feel like I want to die, that in that part, I think he totally believed him until Westaway got enraged by the fact that he was like, how dare you, like, have a response like that kind of thing. And so like with with like that whole thing. And as I said, the song just completely it was brilliantly used. The way they dropped it in right at that moment, it's like they could have started playing it as soon as they started talking. They could have done, there's so many ways that song could have been introduced to that scene, but the way they did it was so impactful and it was soul destroying for me. And I just thought, I'm never going to be able to listen to this song again. I hate you guys so much because I'd like fallen in love with this song.
Are you able to listen to it now?
Oh yeah, I am.
Okay. I think my soul was destroyed more because I don't remember the music. I could only hear myself sobbing when I was watching episode 19.
Yeah.
It's just everything about the story with the mom, how she probably blamed herself for the fact that Wusawei got dumped by Yu, and then Wusawei left and she started to feel like she was a burden, and then she started to rely on Shishang, and then the fact that Wusawei finds out and he realizes that he lost all this time with his mom while trying to make money and not telling her why he was away, leaving her to think that she was a burden, not telling that he's just busy because he's starting a business, because he started it without telling her, because he didn't want to make her anxious. And then, he lost all this time while trying to make money for her. And then, she keeps saying, I'm just a burden for you. I'm just a burden. And then Shishang appears there. And I was just remember this message where I was sobbing. I was fine. Just go to him. Just go and, be with him and blah, blah, blah. And of course it didn't happen.
Like, looking through the door.
Yes, that's right. And then when the moment
longing was so big.
Yes,
he just wanted to do it.
Yes,
his family. That's how he saw them. Yeah.
Yeah, and then he finally gets to talk with his new mom, and she just accepts him, and the way he looks at her and the conversation that they have just destroyed me. And then later in the episode, when she asks to go home and Wusawei, who's trying not to cry all the time because the doctor told him not to cry, he understands that going home means that's it.
Going home to die.
Going home to die. And then she goes home and she feels a bit better. And I remember another message like, I hope this is not one of those things. Although I entirely fully realized that was one of those things when like the patient, like this is what they were trying to show. Like the last moment of like activity of love when they have a bit of energy to do some stuff right before they die. And I was like, I hope this is not one of those. Like, obviously that was the moment that was happening. And then,
I
just kept crying.
She kept trying to reach out and
telling him,
that she knew who he was.
Yes, trying to make him to tell her. She didn't want to just say it. I know.
She knew.
Yeah.
She needed him to tell her.
Yes.
And so, it's so significant, like when she dies, that he takes the time to explain it.
Oh my God! And yes, but when she and the moment like really like it started, like I was in the grave, I was in the pit, and like you could finally like start throwing sand, like not sand, just to bury me, dirt to me, because like when he realized that she died, the light, like the sun goes down or something, and suddenly the light goes away and he is in darkness. And at first he pretends that she's still alive. He's talking to her. Then like gradually his emotion, his like the way he behaves changes, and it looks so real.
Yeah,
he did such a good job there.
The way he talks to her in the beginning, like she's still alive, because he should have said these things to her when she could hear them.
Yes.
Like he's regretting that he didn't say this when she was there. And she gave him many opportunities. Like she was really trying to get him to that place, to make him understand that it was okay. But she didn't want to, like, he was clearly, there's a reason why he didn't tell her. He was scared, you know what I mean? Like, and the last thing she wanted to do was to have confrontation with him or for it to backfire.
Yeah.
When you try and force something from somebody and they're not ready to give it to you, often it ends badly or they react badly, which is why I reckon as well Shishang let Westaway blow them up, basically, because he knew this was coming, like with
Mm-hmm.
the mother and everything as well. And I feel like he knew that like he could wait. He would be there. It made no difference. Like
Mm-hmm.
it had to be Westaway's choice, but also like he wasn't going to go anywhere. Like this guy owns everything about him. Like he has everything. Like he's literally given him everything. His business, his money, his heart, his soul. Like he's just waiting. Like he was just waiting for him to like come back around. And it's so like this scene that really got me as well is like because I remember reading, once again I'm going to go back to book spoilers. I remember reading a scene that like made me chuckle about, you know, or reading a post rather, so not a scene, a post about, you know, when they first have sex, how he blindfolds him. Apparently he does that in the book quite a bit when they have rough sex because
Oh,
that's
the
the way
book.
like sorry?
Oof,
No,
the
no.
book. The
No,
book.
he what do you call it? He likes the rough sex, but he cries, and and Shashank doesn't like to watch him cry, right? And so I'm only mentioning it because it's significant to this scene. So, like he blindfolds him, right? So it's so funny to me. Like it was like I remember talking in this moment, like in the messages leaving him to you, and I was just like I was upset because I was, you know, like, oh, he came to the funeral. I was crying. I was doing all that sort of stuff as well. But I remember like laughing at the way he was acting because laughing while crying, which is always a fun thing. Because he, you know, basically he goes to the house. Like he goes to the funeral, which is so significant, but he doesn't impose himself. I almost like bawled as well when I saw the translation for the message on the funeral wreath, which said, you know, like from your son. I'm just like, of course, from your son Shashang. Yes, yes, so true.
That did not make me cry.
It did. I was just like, I was already in my feels. I was
already crying, but it did not make me cry harder.
But then like he turns up at the house, but the way he was talking to him, like, because this was not the, like, I mean, assuming for Shashank, this was not the moment for him. Like he wasn't expecting them to reconcile in this moment. He just needed to check to make sure that Westaway was okay, but also he needed him to react because every interaction he'd had with Westaway since they broke up was cold. Like there was no emotion. Like he was keeping himself together. Like as you said, like he was trying really, really hard. The mum was dying. Everyone kept telling him not to cry, you know, all these sorts of things. And so he
was trying his hard to be strong.
Yeah. And so he was like this like stoic kind of block of ice basically. And it's like Shashank knew that he needed to like expel all of that grief, you know what I mean? And so he's like starts like picking at him because he wanted him to cry and like let it out. And it's like, I'm just like, dude, this is not going to end well because he's going to cry. And then as soon as he started crying, he's like, I can't stand it anymore. Stop crying.
And it's like also giving him the things that he knows, telling him the things that he knew would hurt him most, the things that he was scared of most.
Yeah, because as you said, he knows him so well, you know, and like but just like the thing that, like as I said, I was like sobbing while this is happening, and then as soon as like Westaway starts crying, I just started laughing because I was like, I was counting down in my head from 5, and I think I got to 3, and he already had him in his arms, and he was like, oh, stop crying, and he's like, you know, and then of course as soon as he was in Westaway's orbit again, that was it. He was never letting him go again, you know, like decision made. So I loved that whole scene and everything was very well done. But it was just like that whole portion from basically when Wang Xiao came back to when they got back together and was extremely traumatic, like whether it was the misunderstandings between the two of them because the mother dying and Shashang having to deal with all that and stuff like that as well. Because I saw a lot of people talking about, you know, like, oh, he should have told him and like all this sort of stuff. And it's like, yeah, well, maybe he should have, but like it's not an easy thing to do, to tell somebody you love that their cornerstone of their world is about to die or could die or like whatever. Like that is not a job anyone wants to have. And I know from personal experience that it is not something you want to be telling people, that, you know, the person they love may die or will die. It's not a fun thing to do, and it's not an easy thing to do. And I did it with the person's permission. I can't imagine being in a position like that and having that information, and having the person who is dying, who you respect, who you love, who, you know,
Whose
all these
approval you
things,
want.
and
Yeah.
yeah, that's right. And them saying, you cannot tell this person. I don't want you to tell this person. And she did give him reasons as to why she didn't want him to tell him, which is, and they did make sense, you know, like she didn't want him to hang around and like, you know, be miserable while she died slowly or like whatever. Like she just wanted him to live his life.
Oh
you
my
know,
God,
like the
please
things that he
stop. Please, you need to wrap it up because I'm going to cry.
She did. She just wanted him to live his life and then grieve her when he was gone, when she was gone. Like she didn't want him to linger on it. And I love that she was able to show Shishang her approval, because by her doing that, she basically gave him the green light. Like she wanted him to be there for Wesaway, to support him, to like take care of him. And then of course we had that like really sort of, you know, melancholy but sort of funny but cute and sad all at the same time episode where when they were back together again, where he basically was just following Westaway around and like trying to not make him cry, because every time he cries, he like had a mental breakdown.
For the people who haven't watched the episode, in case there's anyone who is listening to this without, I promise this is a comedy.
It's totally a fluffy, totally romantic, like ultimately cute, a little bit sexy, spicy. Like it's a great watch.
It's a great. Please watch it.
Your trauma pants. Bring your trauma pants. You'll need them. Yeah. And I say trauma pants, and by that I mean, like, you know, everyone has special pants when they, like, well, I don't know, depends on the culture, I guess, but like we joke here about having like special pants you wear at Christmas or something, because like you eat a lot of food and so you need like a good elastic waistband. Well, there's a lot of trauma in this, so you should wear your trauma pants. But no, it's good. It's really, really, really worth it.
You get like treats, like one-sided telephone sex belt scenes and scheming and shenanigans. I
cannot believe that I missed the belt scene. I feel like I should, guys, I need to hand in my pervert card because I failed. It was so funny. You know what? I was Wes away in that scene, I think. Like, I don't know what was going on there. I must have been really tired from work or something when I watched that episode, because it's so funny. Because what I love about that scene, because I rewatched it, I went and found it and rewatched it. Not for the reasons that you think. No, actually, totally for the reason you think. But I couldn't believe that I'd missed the fact that, okay, so backstory. Wesaway gives Shishang a belt. And then a bunch of stuff happens with that belt, in that, for example, he makes Wesaway put the belt on him. He gives him shit about the belt too, because he thinks it's like a cheap belt, and Wesaway tells him it's a cheap belt, but he actually bought a designer belt from a brand that Shishang wears. So like he, you know, and this is a guy who doesn't spend money. So like already he was, you know, down bad with the belt. But so he makes him put it on him. Then he wrapped it. I don't remember the scene where he wraps the belt around Shishang's, where Shishang wraps the belt around Wesaway's neck either and throws him on the bed and starts like kissing him. I didn't remember that either. So that also happens. Then a few days later, where Shishang is away on a business trip, he calls Wes away and he says to him something like, I can't remember the exact wording, but he basically says to him that he knows that he did something, or like he's blaming him for something, right? And so Wes away straight away, because he's guilty of like so many things, is like straight away feeling guilty and they're having two different conversations, and I think maybe that's what distracted me. It was very clear that Shishang is like wanking himself, but and he's talking about the fact that, like, you know, Wesaway made him want him and like hasn't been like forthcoming and like, you know, helping him with that and all this sort of stuff, and like how he should be there with him, and you know, all that's basically what he's accusing him of. Where meanwhile Wesaway's having like a mental breakdown because he's like, what does he know?
What is he going to do to me? Please forgive me.
That's right. And he's completely distracted by the fact that, because of course, that's right, they keep investigating him. So they know that he's like this has this bad history of like doing extreme shit, and like he's worried about like what's he going to do to me? What does he know? And then it finally clues into him, and he realizes what Shisheng is doing, and he's like, oh my god. And it's so funny. And so I completely missed the point a bit about the bit that because before he rings him, he's playing with the belt, and then the belt is wrapped around and then
you know what? The funniest thing is that our reaction was, oh my god. Wuso Wei's reaction that by that point it was not that intense. He was like, oh no, this guy. Like he was so used to that already.
Yeah, well, because that's right. Because it was like every 5 minutes, like was talking about like having sex with him, or touching himself while talking to him. Like I think that's like the second time he rings him when he's like masturbating or something, or about to masturbate or something. But I had no idea he was using the belt to masturbate. I was just like, it's so extreme. He's just such a and I was just like, oh my god, Shisheng, of course.
Yes.
And that I was so disappointed in myself that I missed that. I was like, normally I would have been like, did you notice this?
I don't.
But yeah, no, I did.
I'm surprised. I don't know. I'm like, why didn't we talk about it? Why didn't we not talk about it? What happened?
We didn't. And at the time, you might have been going like, well, I would have thought she would have mentioned this.
I'm sorry. I also failed.
Yeah.
I'm a bad friend. I'm sorry.
I know, like we missed out on having multiple conversation about the belt wanking. But yeah, anyway, I feel like I've now said wanking and belt way more than I needed to in this episode. But it was, I mean, just these little nuts moments. And it's funny because a lot of people were complaining about the fact that there wasn't a lot of sex scenes in that between Westway and Shisheng. And they were talking about like, oh, it's because of censorship, it's because of this, it's because of whatever. And it's funny because we had scenes like that, and to me that is actually way more like wow than, you know what I mean, than some of the other ones.
Yep.
And so I just
but for scenes like that, we also have scenes like the revelation of how, well, it's actually not the scene, not the revelation. If you put two and two together, you'll get the revelation. But the story of the doctor of I'm sorry, let me check their name because I wrote it down. So it is Zhang Shuai. I'm sorry. Of what happened to him and how he almost ended his life, but he saved himself because he decided he wants to help other people, and so he named the clinic after the time when he got the call that saved his life.
His life, yeah.
So nice touches, little nice touches, and then a lot of other moments, like it's a weird one, but I really love the montage with Wuso Wei learning how to handle snakes. I don't know. I am having so much fun every time I watch it. And then, the I hate you and the crying while eating, and then the lots of friendship moments.
Yeah, and they used in the scene in the prison, the I hate you scene. Translate I hate myself. They used Wuso Wei's song too, which was like a great place to use it because it's such a connection to both of them. So I loved the way they did that. As I said, every time they used that song, except for when they were putting it with the other couple, it was perfect. They did such a good. They used that song and putting it there actually like made it better for me in some way. I don't really know why, but it just did. I felt healing to me. It's to be in that spot.
Like it's like they became one. They become one piece,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, as I said, that's in that song, in the lyrics, it's like him. It's his realization that whatever he had planned, whatever like thoughts that he had, like whatever reasons he had, like it all just fell away when they met each other. Like it's just he basically got like pulled into Shisheng's orbit, and like he can't go back. It's like there's one of the episode titles is something about like, can you go straight again after you've been banned? And it's like it's like basically the answer to that. No, you can't. But You know, like this show had some great titles too. Like I loved the one where it's I think it was episode 20. Men are like menstruation. You
Oh
think
yeah.
about it when it hasn't come, but it's annoying when it's here.
Oh,
And I had my
it's
period at the time when that episode aired, and I was just like, this is so true.
and also
Yeah.
lots of moments, lovely moments between with the secondary couple, and then lots of friendships moments. I remember sending you a message that if or you actually, I think you sent me the same message, and you sent it. I didn't listen because I was watching the episode, and I sent it to you as well. And then I listened. I was like, oh wow, we had the same thought that if Shisheng and Sheng Yu were okay from the beginning of the series, it would have been so much more comedic because they're hilarious together.
Totally. The friendship between them was just great.
Yeah.
And I loved I love the friendship between Wesaway and the Doctor as well.
Yes.
Like the Doctor is so, in the beginning, he was so confident and we all believed him. We all trusted his narrative when he was telling things, just like Wesaway did. Like to a certain extent, we were all like, you know, oh yeah, okay, that sounds right. But then the further you got along, the more you realize that he actually knows absolutely nothing. Like he's completely clueless about like a lot of stuff. Like he might be a great doctor, but like real life world stuff, he's kind of shit at it. And it's so funny. It's like when he was first like, oh, Shisheng and Sheng Yu are in love with each other and all this sort of stuff. I think maybe Shisheng loves Sheng Yu, and Westway's like, I don't think so. He just spent the weekend like fucking me. I'm pretty sure like I'm the only one that he's in love with. Which was so funny because he was so confident there, and then of course Wang Xiao came back and destroyed all of it. But I loved his cocky confidence in that moment. He's like,
it's hilarious.
I'm pretty sure this is you. Yeah, he's like, I'm pretty sure this is basically you projecting because you're afraid of like Sheng Yu. Like, you're afraid of the fact that you want to be with him or whatever. And then also the bit where Wesaway was trying to like call for help, essentially using the watch.
Oh yeah.
When Shisheng's dad kidnapped him, and he like did a really smart message in that, and they're like the dumber and dumber, like Sheng Yu and Sheng couldn't work it out, and they're like, oh, we should ask the Doctor, like he knows him the best, you know. And and he's like, sorry, he's just like, he basically said to Shisheng, your dad gave him money, so he's like, see you later.
Oh, and also this whole kidnapping plot was hilarious. Every interaction that
it really was. It was just the fact that his dad basically ended up liking him probably more than Shisheng. But he just couldn't put it together in his head that they should be together. I love how as well, like he spent all this time waiting for Westway spent all this time waiting for Shisheng to rescue him, and then he rescued himself. And Shisheng's just like, wait, what? And he's like, come on, like getting him to follow him. The whole thing was hysterical. But I also love that, like, when as I said, the Doctor was like so wrong, and he's like, oh yeah, he paid him a lot of money, and so now he's saying see you later. Like Shisheng never like even batted an eyelid at that. Like he's like, even though he knows like how greedy in the beginning, like how about money Wesaway is, he's like, yeah, no, he wouldn't leave me for money. Like it's like it wasn't even a consideration. Like once again, I love the confidence. He was like, no, he must be being held against his will. So it's so funny. It's why it's so meaningful as well, though. Like he understands the obsession with money. He knows where it came from. He gets it. It's not a deal breaker for him and all that. So when he finds out about, Wesaway giving away all of his money and selling the home and all that, it's so like gut wrenching for him, because it's just,
yes,
like the meaning behind it, the love behind it is just so, like the expression that he's, this gift, I guess, that he's been given is such a heavy burden to bear when he can't reciprocate or do anything, being trapped in there the way he is. So the what I will say is that as much as like the last two episodes, maybe I know they felt a bit rushed to some people. They definitely felt a bit short. They could have, we mentioned earlier, they could have added so much more. This is definitely one of those shows where, like, I know you and I have talked about shows before, and I'm like, oh, I would have liked 2 or 3 more episodes to just see, X, Y, Z. And you're usually like, I'm happy with it. If you put too much in more, it can ruin it. But I feel like this show, they very easily could have done 2 or 3 more episodes. of just like there's so many scenes that we know they filmed that could have been in there. There's so many like little bits and pieces, like we were talking about with the snake, with little jealousy before, where they could have just done like a little tiny scene and it would have been really cute and really funny and really, like it wouldn't have been boring to see them be happy and established. Like, you know what I mean? Because essentially I made a note somewhere. What did I write? Let me see if I can find it. I said, it would have been nice to tie up some of the endings, them bringing the brothers back too. Like, to me, that was just really weird. They didn't do anything with it. If they had brought them back and done something with it, like we had, clearly they were implying that Wang Xiao's brother, like, was in love with him. It was very firmly established that they are not related. Like, they were, it seemed like they were leading us in a direction, and there was no follow through with that. Like, there was no real kind of reconciliation between any of them. Like, bringing them back and then acting like they're besties was a bit weird. So I sort of feel like they could have just had them leave and not bring them back. Would have made more sense to me. But if they brought them back, then they probably should have done something with them. But I would have liked to have seen Sheshang and Wesaway settled, because we almost were always seeing them in the aftermath. You know what I mean? But like they were either leading up to going through something, or it was the aftermath of something. Like, we didn't really get to see, like we got a few glimpses of it, but like they were so much fun, and like the way they interacted and the way they just like got each other, but the way they were so different, and just everything about the way they were would have been so much fun just to have like even just like an episode where basically it was just a bunch of little moments. You know what I mean? Like, of them, like, reestablishing their business, or like, spending weekends at the house, like, just stupid little stuff that we saw we got little glimpses of it, the concern that they show each other and stuff like that. Like, it just would have been fun to see a little bit more of that building up, because there were, as I said, in the last episode, there were so many little glimpses of it. Like, I love the bit where he essentially kidnaps him to take him to the house, and he's blindfolded him. Like, seriously, the blindfold.
Yeah.
There was a bit, like, there are some choices from the production team or the direction team or whatever in this, like this show, that were just so brilliant, because we had him
with that toy.
Dolls,
yeah.
where you squeeze it and the eyes pop out, and he was just like, this is just like you. Like, he was so, enamored with this like cheap friggin' toy. Like, he was like his favorite possession all of a sudden. And the fact that he bought a blindfold to put on, with everything that was going on during this time, where he was like trying to get the locust tree back, and all of this other drama, just getting out of prison, he had time to go and buy a blindfold where it looked like his eyes were bugging out, is just hilariously funny to me. And it's like, Shisheng has priorities. It was like, like there's the discussion that they have there where he's like, what are you doing? And he's like, you're not going to sell me. And the whole thing about like, no one would want to buy you. And, like, him saying about like, why? And he's like, because you're like poor, like you're bad with money or something like that, he says to him. And it's just so funny because, like in 5 minutes time, he'll just be giving it all back to him kind of thing. But also like it's the irony of the conversation is hilarious because he's just like, no one would want you. But like the unspoken words is like literally he would sell everything he owns and probably including his parents to buy Westway if he had to. So like somebody would buy him.
Yep.
Just not anybody. But and so we got these cute little moments. We got the bit where what was the other thing that they said? It was just something, it was just like a throwaway line, and it was just like, it was so funny, and it's like I miss that we didn't get like more of these bits and pieces, you know. But I also love in the last episode, I feel like what they did, I feel like it was too short. I wanted more, all those sorts of things. It felt a little bit rushed, all that jazz. But I feel like what they did give us, they did really, really well. And I feel like it did finish the story. Like there's we're not left wanting for anything. Like, you know, I know everybody wanted a kiss, and I do kind of feel that way myself a little bit as well. I know lots of people wanted a sex scene or something. I don't think that was necessary. Like to me, it's implied. Like there's no way they
Yeah,
didn't
yeah.
have sex. They probably had sex like a shitload. We just didn't
Mm-hmm.
see it. But it's same with kissing, you know. But it's like it would have been nice to see it. I was a bit dirty that the second parent got a kiss and they didn't get a kiss because,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Yeah.
especially considering all the stuff that they had just been through, it would have been nice to, and it didn't even need to be like a full on pash, just a little peck. You know, they
Yes,
did
yes,
some really
yes.
cute little, like almost kisses as well, like the bit where Westaway finally sort of throws himself at Shashang, you know, and he says the whole, you know, like you can't have sex with him anymore or be with him, all that sort of stuff, like you're mine sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And Shashang does the little thing where he brushes his nose against his, like any of those bits, you know, like the bit when they're laying on the bed at the end where Shashang like sort of hits Wesso on the bum and then they're, you know, have their little talk about the fact that basically Shashang is horny all the time. And Wesso sort of like gives him a little like love tap on the face. Now that would have been a great moment just for Shashang to lift up and like, you know, brush their noses together or something. Something like that kind of thing would have just totally like even would have ticked off the box for me, even though
Mm-hmm.
it's not like a kiss, because it's just something. Like I felt like it was
Mm-hmm.
just missing a little bit of something like that. And I get it, like there's probably, you know, reasons for it or whatever, but it's just that was probably the only thing that I really, but I feel like what they did do was really, really well. Like I loved that last little scene. It was really cute. It was very domestic. It was very intimate. It you know, brought a few things around again. Um, I loved the bit where they first get home
Oh,
and
yes.
like Wesley sleeps for like 2
Yes,
days
yes, yes.
because it makes sense too. Because like he literally said to him when he was in prison, and he was kind of like trying to explain to Shashang like his reasoning, you know, for like why he did this, like why he's sold everything, why he's, you know, like why he was willing to do that. You know, he says to him like, you know, don't think of it as something I'm doing for you. Like I'm being selfish here. This is all for me. You know, like I can't be without you. I can't sleep without you. I don't feel safe without you. Like I need you to be by my side, like kind of
Mm-hmm.
thing. And so for him to have said that to him, and clearly it resonated because, you know, Shashang just let him be, you know,
Mm-hmm.
like just let him, he needed the sleep. He was clearly exhausted. He felt safe finally. And he just like, he was not letting anyone get in between that. And I just loved that scene. It was well, very, very cute and well done. I was just going to say, and in terms of like kisses and stuff, there's no way that like he wasn't kissing him on the head while he was sleeping next to him and things like that. We don't need to see everything. Like that's what, as I said, that's what your imagination is for. Like that's the beauty of things. Like, you know, you can, you know that like we know these characters, we know what they're like. There's no
Mm-hmm.
way that
Mm-hmm.
he wouldn't have, you know,
Yep.
held him close and given him a kiss on the forehead or something, because he loved to kiss him on the cheek or forehead or, you know, neck or whatever. So you would have seen it.
Yep. I
I
agree
mean,
with
it would
you.
have happened rather.
I agree with you. There's another thing that I think could have been improved a little bit. I'm not sure how, though. It's regarding the house and the fact that they got the house back. I feel like it happened a bit too fast because, like, in the second to last episode, Wusaway has to sell the house, and then the last episode, Shishang buys the house, and it feels kind of easy, so the impact is not as big as it could have been. I feel like they could have done something a bit differently there, because they get it back too fast. But it's fine. I mean, I understand that where they're going with this, and considering that they obviously must have some reasons why they cut the episodes short, and maybe if there was more stuff going on. Like if there were more scenes that were cut, like that would have made more sense. You know, it would have been more impactful. But the way it is now, it feels like it was like a bit unnecessary, or maybe that it should have been Shishang to the one. He shouldn't have been the one to get the house back, or maybe that the parents should have been involved there. But yeah, it is what it is. And then another thing that it just it's because of personal preference. I don't enjoy that much stories where exes are involved, and like they introduce jealousy and exes getting, you know, in the way of the relationship being close by and stuff like that.
Screen time.
Yes.
Trying to their characters and give them
Yes.
an excuse for behavior, the bad behavior or whatever. Yeah, I
Yes.
agree.
And I was thinking it would have been fun maybe to if they switched places. What I mean by that, if like Xing Yu was actually Wang Xiao's ex, and Shisheng would, and for Shisheng to be the one that was used to break them up and kind of put in the situation when he would question what the hell he did, and then like he couldn't, a big part of his character was that he was very lonely. He felt lonely, and then for if it was a friend that he had, and then someone had like there was a relationship that ruined them, and like it would feel even more kind of. It would feel worse a bit as a friend to be like, okay, so this other person, like we were friends from when we were children, and then this other person comes, and now you suddenly like, because of them, because of your person, this relationship is ruined, and I don't have anyone anymore. But and I think they could have worked. They could have done something to have to arrive at the same breakup.
Adjustment
Yeah. Without having Wang Shu so much involved so much.
I feel like
but yeah.
you could have still got to the breakup, but whether or not you would have gotten to Wesaways, like insecurity quite as high as it was for him to behave the way he did.
Well, they could have introduced a new person, for example, and that we would have known that nothing was going to happen between them. But for example, for Wusaway, it would have been something that Wusaway would have perceived it as a threat.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he had the guilt there already, didn't he? So like, there's that. But I mean, I feel like I get what you're saying, but I if they were going to do that, I wouldn't have wanted them to introduce anyone else, even if there's not, because me, I don't like threesomes. I don't like love triangles or like whatever. And essentially, this is kind of like, I guess you could say having Wang Xiao come back does sort of introduce the idea of a love triangle, even though it's like one-sided and whatever. I'm never a fan of it in general. I didn't really have too much of an issue with this. I do think they gave too much time to Wang Xiao's character. Like, I feel like we probably shouldn't have seen half the scenes we saw with him. Like, it was unnecessary. The only scenes really that should have involved him really should have been, the scenes that he had with Sui or with Sheshang. Like, they shouldn't have. We didn't need his backstory, really. I don't think they could have told that in a different way, like way quicker and way easier. In terms of the last episode, like I feel like the thing that
I'm sorry. Could I add something before
of course.
We switch to another topic? That if we change this, the snake metaphor would have fallen apart, though. So in the end, it works. It works. I did not particularly enjoy that situation that much, but it's
your favorite
episode. It works, but they could have done it a bit different. I'm sure, like it could have been done a bit differently, but it comes to personal preference, and I love the show anyway.
Yeah. I think as well too, like they already changed a bunch of stuff, because we know they did, because from, as I said, from things I've heard about the book, Wesaway and Shisheng's characters aren't that great in the book. They're not like, they're not the characters we see on the screen. These characters are lovable. They're well thought out, well planned, well executed. We're rooting for them. We want them to be successful in their own right. We want them to be happy. We want them to be together. You want all these good things for them because they are the characters they are. We've seen the emotional development. We've seen the character development. Like you want all these things. And I think the thing is when you especially when you're using like a source material for something, and you start picking and choosing the strings that you pull to change things, like it does become complicated and difficult, because then you have things where like either you have loose ends, like for example the brothers, and like not revisiting the little jealousy thing, or you have like other things where it's like they address it, but maybe it doesn't feel satisfactory because it wasn't well thought out, because it wasn't part of the original plan. So, like, I feel like there's a little bit of that in here, but for overall, like, this is a really good show. Every episode is really good. I agree with you. My least favorite episodes are probably the episodes with the Wang Xiao like storyline part and stuff, mainly just because, as I said, I'm not a fan hugely of stuff like that. As a viewer, we know that he was not a threat. Like, it's very clear from, as I said, very early on, that Shishang is all about Wesaway and Wesaway is all about Shishang. Like, but it's just, you could see where it was driving. You could see that it was, and as I said, I feel like having those characters in the storyline where you devote like huge parts of the plot to them, that's all scenes that we could have had more Shishang or Wesaway. You know what I mean? Like, so that to me is a loss. But I think they did do it in a good way. As for the last episode, like, I get the fact that a lot of people aren't happy about certain things. There's definitely, as I said, there's scenes that we know that they shot that weren't in there that don't make sense, that they didn't put them in there. I know, I remember there's some issue with there was some issue with the graveyard scene that they didn't air because there's something on the tombstone that people were up in the arms about. They were really upset about it. And it's like, so that's probably why they cut that scene out, because people were already pissed off about the graveyard, about the gravestone. And it's like if people had just left it alone, then that scene probably would have been in the episode. Like, I understand why people were upset about, like, whatever, like, I think they used one of the actors' birthdays as like the death date or something, and they're finding that really disrespectful. But it's just a date. Like, a lot of things happen on that date. Like, it could be a coincidence, it could be on purpose, it's whatever. I'm sure the actor doesn't really care about it. I feel like if I was in that position, I would just be like, maybe it was this date that they suggested. Who the hell knows? We don't know like everything that goes on in the making of stuff. We have no idea what the relationships. People make assumptions about things. We're all outsiders. We don't know. We're just viewers. We're just here to watch the show, So I just feel like there are certain things that happened where there was a lot of strong reactions to certain things that happened as the show was airing. And a lot of that did, I think, affect the way things were edited and what we got. And so sometimes I feel like it's better just to shut up and enjoy it and, wait till it's finished. And then when you've got an issue, then you can complain about it, because we haven't seen the full picture. There's no point complaining about it halfway through. It's not finished yet. Just
I'm not a fan.
The cake is baked.
I'm not a fan of fan service in the way, like, when the creators watch the reactions of the fans and then based on their reaction, they change the writing. I think that's bullshit.
Yeah.
There might be situations when it works well, but a lot of cases that I can think of right now, it was disastrous.
Yeah, it's because people have making assumptions based on things that they don't actually have all the information for. You got a lot of people who maybe have one opinion about something and they're just really loud about it. It's like, when you have a small group of people who are really loud and then they ruin it for everyone else. So we're in this generation. One of my friends said it to me recently, because I was like, we went to a movie and there were people in the movie yelling out things at the screen, like heckling the movie essentially. And I don't remember ever being in that sort of situation. Like, even I remember going to like movie marathons as a kid for like, cult classic movies and stuff. And like, people are loud when things are funny, and they, like, you get a lot of ooh, when something like whatever, everyone's expecting it and it's like whatever. But you didn't have people like yelling out things at the screen and like being generally disruptive and disrespectful to like everyone else. Also, it's a theater of like 100 people. But my friend said to me, yes, but we're in the age of everybody is entitled to have their own opinion and entitled to like make sure that everybody else has to experience their experience. And I was like, we are really, we've become this like social media friggin' like whatever, where, no one else's perspective or, like experience is as important as that one person. And it's like, where did respect go? Where did like you know what I mean? Like there's just nothing. It was like, it ruined the movie for me and my friend. And I imagine, and there was at least about 4 or 5 other people talking about it as we went out, about how much they're going to have to, either go and see it again or, wait till it comes out on Netflix or whatever, because like what a waste of money that was and all this sort of stuff because of like these like 5 or 6 girls. And it's just like, that's the kind of thing that maybe if I ever did that in my life, it was at a slumber party with 3 of my best friends. You don't do it in a cinema full of other people. Like I don't understand the way people are these days. And I feel like this also translates into this sort of situation where you get these people and they're like, oh, this is, like I feel this way. Like, I mean, I know I get the irony, you and I having a conversation about, where we are telling what we love, but we're also being critical of the show. But I'm not expecting them to, like, I would not expect them to rewrite it based on my opinion. Like, this is my opinion. This is how I feel about it. But, this is the person's vision. This is this is what was gifted to us. Like, take it or leave it, basically. It's up to us whether or not we enjoy it or whether we watch it again or like whatever. That's what free will is, people. But like, to this expectation of like, you've done this wrong, or I think you've done this wrong, or like, and it's always politically kind of driven in, like what is correct or what isn't correct, or like, oh, I'm so offended, or, like this is being done this way because of this. And sometimes it's propaganda, basically, like, and it's just, it riles up people. They're really loud. They're really toxic about it. And then it just becomes, as you said, it becomes a mess, especially when you pander to them, because then the next time they're even louder, because they're like, well, if we're loud enough, they'll totally do something about it. You know what I mean? It's like, where is that? It doesn't leave much space for artistic expression. You know what I mean? Like, or original thought. So it's like, I feel like just wait, like, and I feel like if you want to have an opinion, that's great. Like everyone is entitled to their opinion. I do believe that, but I believe there's a time and a place. And I feel like when you're watching a show, wait till it's fucking finished, or if you want to talk about it, that's fine. But I don't think you should be like harassing the makers of the show or like whatever, like just, know your place, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
I have faith that the listeners of our podcasts are not the people that need to hear this, but yeah, there are a lot of people do need to hear this. And it's funny. Sometimes they're like, for example, with Last Twilight, I like,
he had a lot of opinions about Last Twilight.
Yeah.
And ours did not match the masses. Like, I see so many people talking about how like that's one of the best dramas ever, and I'm like, oh, I spit on your grave.
And then there's, for example, Pinocchio, who is trying a different thing now. Although I know that there have been writers who engage with fandoms when they create something, asking for opinion, and then they put the stuff out, and it's like a group project. So that's interesting. I'm curious to see what happens.
It's funny that you say that too, because I know that Pinucci had said to fans, tell me what you want to see in Burnout Syndrome. And some of the tweets that I saw were freaking hilarious. About like what, like I think there was someone about so I sort of swear to God, the ABO Desire has broken everybody's brain, but I swear I saw one that was like make gun pregnant, make pregnant or something like that. And I'm just like, I hope Pinot, because she was like, I hope she responds to this one, but I haven't seen a response to it. So I was like, this is hysterical. I'm like, do it. But yeah, like it's just, this
is amazing. Like I should go and suggest some budget crazy stuff just to see what happens if someone responds.
It's so funny though, because Kinichi is a classic of like, she's like, sorry, tell me what you want, and then she'll just do whatever the fuck she wants, and she'll be
exactly
like,
the opposite.
She'll be like, I hope you like it, but if you don't, here's the door. Like, she's not going to care, she's not going to be like, yeah, I'm going to do this because you want me to. Sounds good. Like, it's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
So I love that. And I love that for Off Gun, and I can't wait for Burnout Syndrome because of that. But like, yeah, what you're saying is cool. It's cool when that happens because it's a fun, like organic, like usually it's a positive experience, when stuff like that happens. But it's also just like,
sometimes it can get bad. Yeah.
Yeah, it can, and of course, like for all intents and purposes, from what I understand of this drama and everything, like some people were new to acting. Like I think the actor that plays the Doctor maybe was new to acting. I'm not really sure. Someone on here was new, I think, unless I'm getting
Mm.
my dramas mixed up. Anyway, and so there were certain things in that, and so like like it's okay to let people find their feet and just see what works and what doesn't work. And as I said, there was a lot of drama surrounding this. What with the sassing youngs and the fan stalking and the all the hateful crap and the rumors and the this and the that and the all that drama as well. Like was giving it a lot of attention where they maybe don't want a lot of attention, and so
Mm-hmm.
like there was probably some censorship because of that.
Mm-hmm.
And there was all sorts of stuff.
For
We should just be
security.
lucky that
Yep.
we got a complete show. And I
Yeah.
mean, like as I said, don't get me wrong, 33 minutes is really, really short. It's literally almost half of every other episode, which doesn't make sense. If you're looking at it from a perspective of going, okay, well, why did they cut this out? Why did they cut that out? You could have had this, and this. It would have made sense for them to cut things out if the episode had already been 56 minutes long or something, and then they're like, oh, we need to cut something out, or whatever. But clearly there was something going on there, but we got a complete story, and
Beautiful.
it had a good ending. Yeah, it had a good ending, like more or less we're all happy. Like it's just hopefully maybe we'll get some, behind the scenes or extra clips or whatever, like released at a later date
or the director's cut. Director's cut.
Yeah. I hope they'll release it on a DVD or something. I would really like to buy this. So I hope they do that. I sent you the link for the photo book that they're doing, and I'm just like, I might have to buy that if I can work out how to purchase it. And it's just, but I think, as I said, for all intents and purposes, they've done a really good job. Like
amazing job.
I would probably definitely watch something from them again. Like whoever's produced and directed this, I would probably, watch things that they create again, potentially in the like this hasn't put me off, for example. I would definitely watch, stuff that these two actors have primarily our actors who play Westway and Shisheng have done, because I think they were amazing. I have seen the actor who plays Shisheng in other dramas. That was my other thing. I was actually watching like just a normal straight like het drama that he was the second couple in when I first started watching this, because I was like, I know this person. Who is this person? I looked him up and I go, no way, I would never have guessed. But yeah, clearly my mind recognized him. But yeah, so I think they did a great job. I mean, there's so many things that I'm afraid of at the moment, and like probably watching something by these people isn't one of them. Just a little slightly off topic. Mum and I were talking about Revamp. Is that what it's called? Revamp?
Mm-hmm.
The Bond
Bram
one that's coming out. And I watched the new trailer for that when it dropped the other day, and I must admit, I'm so disappointed. And I feel really bad because I really want them to have a good drama. Like when they were in Till Me We Meet Again, I really loved them. I loved their chemistry. I was hanging out for their own show. They did Between Us, and I was like, ugh. And I was so disappointed. And then when this show was first, we saw the pilot trailer from Wabi Sabi, and then they did the other trailer, where they did like this sort of, I guess, revamped trailer, or which was also like under, like it was aired by GMM at their like upfronts, but I think it was still produced at that point by Wabi Sabi. It was good. It had intrigue and it looked dark. It looked really interesting, right?
Mm-hmm.
The most recent trailer, I don't know if you've seen it or not. They have GMM TV.
Oh, you said I heard you. You said the GMM TV did, and I saw some gifs on Tumblr, and I'm like, I haven't watched it yet. I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, it's like it's like not what the original is like. It's not at all what it was meant to be in the beginning. So I'm so afraid that it's not going to be good, because like I'm just like, I was expecting, we've been looking forward to, we've seen a bunch of different trailers like over the last sort of, I guess, 12 months of stuff that still we haven't seen, like Goddess Bless Me from, what is it?
Death.
Is that what's
Goddess Bless Me
Death.
from Death.
Things like that where it just looks so different and so like interesting, and oh my God, I can't wait to dive headfirst into this kind of thing. And this was another one, like this was a low-key one that because it was all these vampire ones, you know, like it was like all of a sudden BLs had discovered vampires. And I was really excited about this. And I with the Gay one Joss one, which the name is escaping me right now. I expected that it might not be good, like or like not what I was like hoping for it. You know, like the Vampire Light, let's call it, because it's GMM TV, right? But I was hoping a little bit more, but then I forgot that GMM were going to be making this one. So yeah, I feel like, you know, like with all the things that we get, I mean, they make so many of the BLs that come out, and I'm really honestly, to me, every single one that I've watched in the last probably, I don't know, over 12 months, I reckon now, including the trainee, has felt the same. Like I'm watching the same drama with the same characters.
Well,
and the only difference is that some actors are better than others, because it's just there's no, like, I don't know. This was
I
refreshing.
think
This was like a breath of fresh air.
And I think it's so interesting that the last two BLs that I got obsessed with were Chinese. So Micho the Blossom, and now it's Revenge Love. So hopefully ABO Desire will also have a good,
I'm like obsessed
good
with
ending.
guys. I'm going to have to probably, we may get a one-off a podcast for that, depending on how it ends. I'm going to try and twist Marilla's arm, because I am obsessed with Xiao Yu. Like, oh my God, I even learned how to say his name. Because he is like the most epic of characters. Like, I'm sorry, he is the mastermind of manipulation. And the actor who is playing, like Elliot, who is playing Xiao Yu, is like, holy manoli, like he is so good. The last episode that they just did, he switched, like his character switched from like, you know, innocent Amiga to like aggressive Enigma in like 2 seconds. And it was just a brief flicker of a facial expression. I was like, I wanted to get down on my knees and do like the, you know, like all honor or bow down to the exquisite beauty that is your acting. Like, oh my God, I was so impressed. But yeah, I'm just I'm really looking forward to, I think I said to you, was it yesterday or the day before or something, I'm really looking forward to the couple of Dame ones that are meant to be coming out.
Yes, I'm so excited about them.
I'm not always hugely into, you know, I have to be in the mood usually to watch stuff like that. Like my mum is always trying to get me to watch like Korean type ones like that. And she's like, oh, it's so good. And I'm like, I need to be in the mood. But I loved Meet You at the Blossom. I mean, one of the reasons why Meet You at the Blossom was so good was because although it was a serious stuff, it was really fucking funny.
It was.
I love to laugh. I love it.
Yes, it was kind of like this one. It's like, it's, you know, it's very funny, and then it gets very tragic, very traumatic, and then it's funny again. It's perfect.
Yeah, they lull you into a false sense.
Yeah.
The laughter. And
you let your guard down, and then you with it like something. The dagger in the heart.
They bury you in the tragedy, and then they're like, "Here's a cookie." Laugh again.
That's
and
correct.
Just, like laughing while crying, you know. It's like it still hurts, but it's funny now again.
Yes.
But so I'm looking forward to those ones. As I'm still looking to Goddess Bless Me from Death, and there's a couple of others as well, which names I can't think of right now.
Happy at the end or something like this.
Oh yeah, happy ending or happy end or something like that. Yeah, that one looks good too. Apparently, that's still going to get made, so that's good.
Also, I have high hopes for Only You series. I only started it, and it's like, I think it has potential.
With the 2 girls?
Yes, with the girls, with the bodyguard and the idol. Yeah. So this is what we're watching. Tell us what you are waiting for, what you're watching.
Something you want us to talk about.
Yes, in case...
We're not necessarily going to do it. That way. You can suggest something, but we may never talk about it. But you never know. We might feel the urge. Your interest might line up with ours.
In case you had fun listening to us, tell us. You know, it might maybe it might motivate us to record some more stuff, because it's been hard.
It's been a long time. It has been a long time, but we just life has like buried us a little bit the last few months, so we apologize for that. But
We-
we had all these plans, didn't we? We've had lots of plans.
Well, yeah, we plan on continuing it with that, right? We plan on doing
Yeah.
all the stuff that we said we'd do.
Oh, of course. Yeah, we will. We will definitely do stuff. We just, we've not had the time or the motivation, I think, has been the problem. But it was really funny this afternoon. Morale was like, let's do it today. Revenge Love. Come on, let's do it. And I was like, you're excited. Okay, yep, let's do this. Makes it easier when we're excited about something.
So please leave us your thoughts in Tumblr or Twitter on @criticallyobs.
Let us know what you guys are interested in, what you're watching at the moment. What did you guys think about Revenge Love? You know, do you agree with us? Do you disagree with us? Do you have strong opinions? Do you want the song meta post from Zoe?
Do you want spoilers for books or not?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. What's your opinion on spoilers? Send us some encouragement. On
Yes.
socials. We totally need it.
Yes. Thank you for spending time with us. Goodbye.
Thanks. Bye.